The Mud Peddlers, a podcast where two nerdy ceramic artists share the behind-the-scenes of their worlds of clay. We're your hosts, Lindsey M Dillon.
And I am Donte of Earth Nation.
This week on The Mud Peddlers. We're actually doing some time traveling because Donte and I are at day 0 of NCECA.
Yeah.
And we're doing like a little vlog thing. So at the end of every day, we're going to sit down and talk a little bit and talk about what our experiences are.
The amount of people that I've met who are like, I talk to you all the time on Instagram. And I'm like, I don't know you. And they say their Instagram name. And I'm like, oh, that's
yeah.
okay. All right.
Yeah.
If you run up on me, don't run up on me with your government name, please. Say your Instagram name.
We all know Instagram names, but yeah.
Yeah.
But so I guess just like recapping, what has it been like so far today?
Well, first of all, I would like to say all these people out here who are like, because it gets cold in Sacramento, right?
Yeah.
But there's always a couple people who are like, oh, you don't know cold. I live in Ohio where it's real. Like, we get snow.
Yeah.
I don't understand why you people got to make the weather of your origin your personality trait. I don't I don't get why.
This episode hella hot, Donte.
It is not as cold in Cincinnati, Ohio as you guys made it seem it was.
Admittedly, it's not snowing right now. It's pretty
not snow.
cold.
It's colder than Sacramento for sure, but you guys made it seem like I was going to the tundra.
Yeah.
It's not that cereal.
How we ended up in this moderately cold but not insanely cold state is neither of us really slept. I'm
2 days strong right now.
Oh my god. Yeah, I spent the entirety of yesterday evening as though it was the night before a convention because I was just like sitting there hammering away with the sewing machine at this Handmaid's Tale outfit.
With your kiln at 600 degrees when you're trying to pull out your little... Lindsey brought these little, what do they say?
They're like little tiles that say Nolite te bastardes carbondorum, and it means don't let the bastards grind you down in like fake Latin basically. And
right.
It's from the original Handmaid's Tale book.
Right.
And I'm giving them out to folks who I have conversations with about like my outfit, which has been surprisingly nice. So like...
Yeah, I thought I would have to like... There are a couple... Here's the way the dudes look at you is like, oh, there must be a cosplay something in town, right? But every lady who knows the reference looks at you with that like head nod of approval, like, oh, I see what you're doing.
Yeah. It's been actually super cool to like occasionally meet people's eyes and then like have them there. They have like a smile or something on their face, and I just like smile and like, nod. And
100% thought I was gonna have to like somebody's gonna look at you and I have to look at them and be like, do it, see what happens.
Yeah, no, everyone's been like super chill. Like we even like went out to dinner.
Feel froggy, jump, boy, jump.
Yeah. I feel like I'm really really tired.
Yeah, Lindsey's toasted.
I'm really toasted, but I'm trying to think of something.
I'm right here.
Yeah,
I'm listening to your tired story.
So we're like, it's pretty cool because we're like in this Airbnb house, which is 3 stories. The top story definitely feels haunted.
The bottom story is as big as my actual house.
Yeah.
And there's 2 more stories above that.
Yeah.
Of the same amount of space.
Yes. And everyone's really nice. Like
everyone's
we're
very
staying
nice,
with like 10. There's like what, 10 of us, 12 of us.
Yeah, it's mostly.
Airbnb?
It seems like there's a core group of them, and they're all like really good friends, and they add people, and they kind of keep who they want throughout the years.
What kind of add-ons?
And I think we're the add-ons to see if they want to keep us throughout the years.
I hope they want to keep us.
I don't know. It depends. I assume it depends on whether we get invited next year.
Yeah.
And if the same group wants us, and if it's like viable enough for us to go.
Yeah. Because it's expensive.
Our tickets were taken care of, but we had to pay for our own Airbnb and flight.
Yeah.
Which, if you don't have Airbnb and flight money and the availability to take time off work, if you do have a 9 to 5, it's not viable for everyone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I do get by NCECA inviting us, people who enjoy us will also buy tickets. So by them giving us free tickets, which are essentially free for them.
Yeah.
If 2 people buy tickets, they've already covered their sales and more.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah. It's cool to see even like within this first day 0, like, cause so basically we flew out of Sacramento at 6 a.m, meaning we got to the airport at 4, meaning I my mom drove us to the airport at like 3:30 in the morning.
Which was baller, by the way, because I didn't want to do that.
Thanks, Mom. So we did that, and then we flew from Sacramento to Seattle, and then Seattle to Cincinnati.
Yes.
We met up with one of the folks we're staying with, and drove to the Airbnb or Verbo, whatever place where we're staying.
Right.
And hung out for a bit, figured out where everybody's sleeping, And then we went to like the day 0 of NCECA, which is basically kind of like a little cocktail hour. So there was like some foods. There was like Donte and I both got cups.
Yeah, I bought a cup from Sarah Kin Ceramics, I think. I'm pretty sure. Here's her Instagram profile, but she has this delicious red.
I'll put it in the show notes.
Okay, I've been trying to develop this red myself for so long, and like she was selling it, and I was like, oh yeah.
That's hella cool. Yeah, I was surprised. Like you picked up that mug and you were like, where do I go about buying this? And I'm like, damn, dude.
Yeah, I knew exactly what it was. I follow her on Instagram. I'm pretty sure that's her.
Yeah.
But also, if I misrepresented the Instagram, I deeply apologize. But as far as I know, that is the only person who makes that type of red at that stability and that, you know.
Yeah, it's really nice. I ended up buying a mug too. Sorry, Cody. Cody, my dear boyfriend, who has started asking if I could bring some of my cups to the studio because our cupboard's getting ridiculously full.
He's like, stop making mugs.
No, I can't stop. But no, it's just buying mugs. So anyway, so I got a really, really pretty mug. I can't remember who the artist is, but I'll link it in the show notes because I'm really tired. But
Lindsay's like eyelids closing tired.
But the thing I was gonna say that was cool is that like after we went to the NCECA thing, the day 0 cocktail hour thing, a bunch of us went to dinner, and then you ended up chatting with the folks from Clayscape.
Yeah.
About like a bunch of chemistry stuff and like clay bodies and glazes, and it was just like, dang.
Well,
and you straight up said like,
it's all Matt Cat's fault, really.
Yeah.
Because like he basically through his classes taught me glaze chemistry, and now it's so hard to find someone who even knows the basic fundamentals of like flux ratios and things of that nature. And this guy seemed to know at least enough to have a viable conversation.
Yeah, it was cool. It was fun listening in.
And then I was like, where are you guys from? They're like, oh, we own Clayscapes. And I was like, what?
So you knew them beforehand?
Well, I knew about them beforehand. Tim C talks about them all the time.
Oh, really?
But at the same, I didn't know it was them. You know, I thought it was just two dudes with Clayscape shirts on. I'm like, oh, they love Clayscapes. Like,
but
it would be like me.
The owners.
Yeah, it would be like me wearing an Amico shirt. Like, you know, I do Amico videos, but like, I'm not the owner of Amico.
Right.
You know, but they were talking about how they were trying to get their dry powder glazes out the door and how they're a little cheaper and they're more viable that way. And
that was super interesting. Actually, I feel like we should like, just as a little like short note, like go into that a little bit. I'm actually going to either buy or hopefully they'll give me some, because I don't want to spend too much money at the convention, some of their dry powder glazes. I'll take them back and then I'll do at least like 4 or 5 episodes. Yeah.
Because they put specific gravity on their bottles and they like put ratios on their bottles, and I want to test them out, you know?
Yeah.
For people who don't exactly want to jump into making glazes all the way, but you might be tired of the same old boring like bottle glazes that you've been using for 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 years. So
or are wanting to get more glaze for a cheaper amount, because I think like because when you buy like the pints of like the pre-mixed glazes that already have the water in them, like the shipping and everything like that is more expensive.
The weight.
Because of the weight.
The weight alone.
So if you're just buying like the powder, so anyway.
Yeah.
So it's an interesting like dilemma that I didn't really think about how some consumers would be intimidated by the idea of like, oh, how much water did I put into it? It's like, oh, right, like that makes sense that would be a concern why some people wouldn't buy the dry glazes, even though the dry glazes could conceivably be more way less cost efficient,
way more cost efficient,
but not as potentially overwhelming as like making your own glaze.
People have asked me if like, you know, I make the glaze on Glazy and I put it up there and people are like, are you selling that glaze? I want that glaze. And I've thought about it, and then I'm like, can I just give it to them powdered? And it occurs to me that the reason that glaze companies sell their glazes in the way they do, that being brushed and bottled formed, is because number one, on God, y'all are lazy.
Well,
and a lot of you just want. Oh yeah, I get it. That's the ease of use item. Remember we had that discussion. It's like you get it off the shelf.
Right.
You put it on your pots. It's easier, and you're paying for that ease of use.
Yeah.
If you didn't want that ease of use and you wanted a little bit more work to it, which nobody really wants, right? That's the entire thing about convenience. Is you would have bought the powdered glaze, or you'd learn how to make glaze yourself. And I think that's part of the problem. Also, there's the human element to it, too. How much water do you add? Does the water in different cities does it matter?
Yeah, it doesn't need to be sieved.
Do you know how to weigh specific gravity? Or do you, you know, all that can be solved by just buying a bottle of, don't fuss with it glaze.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I think it still makes sense if you're new to ceramics. It totally makes sense. Like, unless you're going into ceramics already with a pre-existing curiosity about glaze.
Yes.
Like, I think it makes a lot of sense to start with the bottled product, because it's like, you're still learning the medium of the clay body itself.
Of course.
Like, so, but also, yeah, I hear you.
No, I mean, I absolutely agree with you.
Yeah.
I just think most companies, in fact, I know, most companies understand that the high majority of their market are not people who have such an interest in glaze and glaze chemistry that they would want to put them together themselves.
Totally.
They would much rather pay for a ready-to-go, ease-of-use item such as that. And I think that's the problem with Clayscapes is they're like, we sell them powdered. And I'm like, oh, look, oh God, people just want to buy it and have it work.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, I mean, I think that's what he was saying is like that, and they've done a couple of different marketing techniques to figure out how to decrease that perceived barrier to entry.
he was talking about how it confuses people, like, because you see specific gravity and you don't want to, and people are like, ooh, I gotta learn how to do specific gravity. No thanks, I'll just buy the other bottle, thank you.
Yeah.
And like, I get it. I get it. A lot of people think putting glaze together is scary. I have a warped view of it, of course. 'Cause I'm like, it's not scary, but I know how to do it.
Right.
Relatively well, so I can't be like, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Rock climbing's not that scary, says the rock climber.
Okay. Yeah, screw that.
I don't want to climb rocks.
Yeah.
Kyle, thank you.
Thank you, Kyle.
You know his name's Kyle.
His name is definitely Kyle.
His name's 100% Kyle.
All right. Anything else you can think of before?
No, you're getting sleepy. That was day one. She's laying down right now. Okay, that was day one. We're gonna see you in the next day. Although technically speaking, I don't have to say that.
We're gonna see you tomorrow.
Well, because this is gonna be one episode, right?
Yeah, no, this is gonna be like part of one episode.
Okay, this is part of one episode. But if we string this together with another episode, saying I'll see you tomorrow makes you want to think to turn it off for another episode.
No.
Don't turn it off. Just keep going.
Don't turn it off. Keep going, because I'm gonna put a little like segue music in there.
She's laid down next to the microphone.
That's because I'm so tired.
She's so okay. We're gonna go.
Okay, bye.
I have to edit video for the YouTube channel. You nerds. Bye. But also stay. Just keep listening. But also bye. So this is the decompress and cast.
Yeah.
Well, yesterday was part 0, we said, right? So today's technically part 1.
Day 1.
Our our like panel is day 2 technically, and we have like 5 full days, I think.
Yeah. So recap for me, Donte. How is day 2 going? Why are you so clinky?
Okay, so I had met. So I couldn't. So you know how like the convention is in a giant warehouse essentially.
Right.
And
I mean, not where it's like a convention.
It is a convention.
It's a convention hall. It's pretty.
Yeah. By definition, it's a convention hall or a convention center, and it's huge, right? All these people are here, but you and I both could not go down like one aisle of this convention hall without getting stopped. People have been like, "Oh, I love your podcast."
Oh, come on!
So much.
You're talking about it like it's bad.
I'm not making fun of them, but that is what happened, you know. And I met tons and tons and tons of people, and they were all great, and they're all fantastic. Some of them flew in just to meet us.
Dang.
Some of them were like, I wasn't gonna go, but I came to Ohio, which is, I came to Ohio just to see you guys, and I did.
That's so freaking cool, dude.
It was great. No, it was great. I think I met some companies. I met Amico.
Oh yeah. So what was it? What was that like?
I got to meet Amico's glaze chemist, which was fantastic.
Oh my god! I didn't think I knew that because I was talking to another friend of mine.
I'm pretty sure his name's Corey.
Okay.
And like I was like, oh yeah, I'm kind of into glaze chemistry too. And it was wild because for a second he was like, yeah, I'm sure you are. And then I like started mentioning boron levels and UMF and the Stoll chart, and he's like, oh, okay, so you
really know.
You kind of know.
Yeah,
yeah. I'm not like an expert, but I know enough to like mod glazes, right? Yeah. And I was getting some info out of him, and I was talking about reds, and he was like, did you take all of Matt Cat's classes? And I was like, yeah, I'm on the clays now, but like I don't really care about making my own clay, right?
Yeah.
And I was just asking him tons and tons of questions. They have 2 new glazes called something flux. Amico something flux.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of meant as an overglaze, but evidently it works fine by itself.
Yeah.
And I'm super into it. Today was a great day. We saw Ryan and Becca for the first time.
Yes!
We didn't think we'd see them until tomorrow.
Yeah.
But we pre-gamed with them today. Not alcohol pre-game.
Not alcohol, yeah. We
Regular
basically...
pre-game.
Yeah, so we got to the convention hall at like, I don't know, like 9:30 or 10 or something like that. And no, closer to, like 10, I think.
I would say closer to, because they came in at like 9 or 9:30 and gave us the old military wake up. Cause don't fucking up, bitches! That's not the but you know.
Yeah, I mean that'd be kind of cool if it was, but actually no, that's like way too intense of a wake up. Yeah, no, because we were still sleeping, we were super tired. So we got to the convention, and yeah, like we barely got through 2 rows
because so many people
of the like exhibitor hall vendor area thing.
Yeah.
But it was so much fun. Like there's a couple of folks, like shout out to Leah Harvell. Like, I was super excited to meet her in person, because, like...
Leah's my Pokemon Go friend.
Yeah.
We're best friends on Pokemon Go. What's that say about you guys? Huh?
Yeah.
What are you doing with your lives?
So then we went and got lunch with our, like, housing, like, clay buddies group that we're with. And then we went to... Oh my gosh, what was the name of the place? Queen City Clay.
Dude, Queen City Clay is... Okay, so, like, if you've ever been to Alpha Fired Arts... You know what? Any pottery store. Think of your pottery store. Alpha Fired Arts is in a large warehouse. Mm-hmm. And half of it is essentially a pottery store, and the other half of it is, like, clay, and they hold a bunch of stuff
Fire
in the
and
back.
stuff, and yeah.
So, I would say Alpha Fired Arts is sectioned off into 2 sectors of a warehouse. One sector being... the studio, the firing, the front of the house, the kids' classes, the offices. It has an upstairs, right? But it's not as big as, you know. And then they have a back section where they hold all the clay and minerals and whatnot.
Yeah.
Okay, Queen City Clayscape is 5 sectors long.
Yeah.
And that's on the first level.
Yeah.
And it has 3 levels. As far as I know, for workable space, Alpha Fired Arts only has 1 level and it's 2 sectors long.
Yeah.
And Alpha's huge already.
Yeah, no, this place was like you could consider this practically a compound.
It was damn near a compound, yeah.
Huge, yeah. Like we went there to do the Facebook group Clay Buddies for our dear listeners.
Right.
We went there for the Facebook group called Clay Buddies. Every year at NCECA, they do a shot glass exchange. So we went to that, and Queen City Clay was kind enough to host that for us.
Which was awesome. It's not like they don't have the space.
Yeah, they got plenty of space.
We were in the basement.
Yeah,
It's so huge.
We even, and actually what I might do is at the end of this day's episode, or this day's section, maybe I'll include the little like pre-section that we did, or the little like micro section that we did.
Right, it's 20 minutes.
Yeah, we spoke with one of the folks folks who works there, and is involved in like a bunch of the different stuff. And anyway, we did a little talk, but I don't know. I still haven't decided if that's going to be that or like a Patreon episode.
The crazy thing is that he was like, dude, you're the one who's got me started. I was like, what? He's like, I watched your videos, and then I tried out some pottery, and I fell in love with it. And then I went to Queen City Clay in their old location, and I was like, can I have clay? And then I started working here, and now it's this.
Yeah.
Now it's this monster of a thing, and I was like, my bad, dude. I didn't know it was like I'm sorry, fam. I didn't mean to do you like that. And he was like, he told me he was like in TV or media for 25 years, and it paid him great. And I was like, bro, I just f***ed up your whole trajectory, didn't I? And he was, but I'm happy now. That's the difference,
dude,
you know?
That's awesome. That was truly awesome.
What was the other things we did? A bunch of people came up to Lindsey and I. One person gave me necklaces, and I'm so sorry I don't remember a lot of your names. But you guys come up to me with your government names, and I'm like, I don't know. You got to tell me your Instagram name. You know, let me see the icon. But she gave me a flower necklace, and she gave me a necklace with a tree, and they are beautiful. I've actually been wearing them all day, and I will continue to wear them. Thank you. They're very beautiful.
Yeah, they're awesome. I've been getting some really good feedback about the Handmaid's Tale outfit. Like, everyone's been super nice. I haven't had anyone be shiesty, which makes me really happy.
No one's been shiesty, but lots of people have been looking.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
People, I think they just think you're religious.
They might just think I'm religious, yes. Because if folks don't know the Handmaid's Tale outfit, like, you could very easily think, like, wow, that's a very conservative, religious person walking around in that, you know,
churned butter, I bet.
White outfit. Yeah, I do look like I churned butter.
You do look like butter.
Yeah, but it was really fun. Like, there were a couple, like, longer conversations I had with people that made me, like, really happy. Because I'm, you know, yeah, it's just, like, I wasn't sure what the response was going to be. And being able to talk with people about it and, like, get that feedback has been really cool. I also wore it into the Costco later that day.
Yeah, and the Costco people are just Walmart people on a larger scale.
Yeah, I definitely got some funny looks for that, in there, but it was fine. So after we made the Costco run to get food, we came back to the house. I took a quick shower to become a human being again. And there's a bunch of people over. It's so much. It's awesome. I do feel a little...
I don't know about awesome.
I think it's awesome. Like, I went downstairs just a second ago to get a muffin because I wanted a muffin and it's late at night.
We went to Costco and we got like the Costco muffin,
oh,
the Costco
they're
pizza.
so big. I don't
Costco got smoothie.
I got smoothies. Yeah, we got smoothies. But yeah, there's like a big old gathering like downstairs. We're currently recording on the 2nd level.
The house that we're in has 3 levels. It's damn near a mansion by my standards.
Yeah, it's pretty big.
And like this 2nd level has its own kitchen and pool table, and it's insane. Like the bottom level is as big as my house in California, and there's triple the amount of space if you go up 3 tiers. It's crazy. Mm-hmm. We should actually mention, I don't know if we did yesterday, that we're in this house with people from Clay Buddies, including Tim C.
Oh yeah, I don't think we mentioned that.
Which is why we went, not why, but which is how we essentially got to the Clay Buddies exchange.
Yeah.
Is because like Tim C kind of ran it a bit.
Tim C like basically like heads up Clay Buddies and heads up the.
And so we came in with him, just dick swinging, dog. Just everybody duck, because I'm about to turn left. I don't want to smack you.
Oh my god!
My god! It was crazy because there was at least 50 people there.
Yeah, it was a solid crowd. Like we all lined up thanks to the help of Nico and April and several other people who helped make the cup exchange happened. But yeah, we all lined up and put our little cups in brown bags. Yeah. And then we
shuffled them around. And then we went back in line and we got them.
Yeah.
That was wild.
Yeah, it was so much fun.
The whole day's been crazy.
Dude, it has been. It's like, I also ran into the group of people, the group of women that I met last year at NCECA, one of whom was one of the folks who purchased one of my sculptures.
Right, I remember her.
Yeah, dude, we squeezed so loud. Yeah. Oh my god, it was kind of bad. We were all like, we made a lot of noise for a hot second, and then we were like, oh shit, we're making a lot of noise. Yeah, today has definitely been like the most social day. Like we've basically, like my throat hurts because we have basically nonstop been interacting with people.
I'm so
since 9 in the morning. Like, it's crazy.
And Nico, bless her soul, is a very like aggressive, extroverted person.
Nah, she's not aggressive.
I wouldn't say she's not aggressive, but she's straight to the point, and some people mix those up. And I love that energy because I enjoy straight to the point.
Yeah.
But she's far more talkative than I am. Yeah, and so I've been talking to her all day as well, so I'm super burnt out. I love and I enjoy her company.
Yeah, dude, honestly, that's one of the things that's really nice is that, legit, everyone's so nice. I love it.
Like, yeah, everyone's super nice, and we get to know all the itty bitty details about, like, oh, we don't do this anymore because of this. And I'm like, oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I was asking about possibly getting a pug mill because I have a problem with recycling clay.
Problem?
Yeah, problem just a little bit. And so I got to talk to them about that. And basically anyone I've suggested, like, the idea of getting a pug mill to, like, in terms of, like, should I get a pug mill? They're like, nah. Like, unless you run a community studio and you have, like, you're processing 10,000 pounds of clay a year, don't get it. And I'm like, oh, shit, okay.
Do you have the volume for a pug mill? What's the volume? Like, at least 50 students in one place, constantly using clay every, 3 times a week. No. It's just me. Okay, it's not worth it then.
Yeah.
The infrastructure, the amount of money, the carrying it, the taking care of it, the maintenance, not
Yeah,
worth it.
I know, and it's hard because, like, what so many folks are ending up suggesting is, like, just don't recycle your clay. You know, because in terms of the time it takes, in terms of the like wear and tear on your body. Yeah. But I'm not sure. I don't know. Like
that's the culture at this point.
Yeah, I know. It's like a hard pill to swallow. The idea of like just throwing away my scraps. So I don't know. I don't know. Yeah.
I need to find some kind of use for them because for me, and I don't know how realistic it is. For me, it's like it's green. You know what I mean? For me, it's like I'm recycling.
Yeah.
I'm helping the earth by not like spending more money on materials.
Yeah, because these materials are, they're raw.
Well,
they are not, like clay is relatively sustainable in the sense where it's not like we're making plastics.
Yes.
But they're also like, it takes carbon energy to like mine these materials and put them together and, then have them driven in cars or trains or whatever. So I don't know. But then again, it's like, but the time investment that it can take.
It's the same as making glaze in my eyes, where it's like there are certain minerals that are problematic, such as cobalt and lithium. There are minerals in clay that are on that same level. You are buying those. You are not empty of any type of responsibility. But at the same time, you can minimize that by just not buying more and more and more and more clay. If you're gonna do it responsibly, and this is the closest thing I can do, other than making my own clay. Which, like this is just like I'm just But economically, it's not as viable as you think it is. You're just kind of doing it for the culture and the spirit.
Yeah.
Honestly.
I think I need to just make a bigger wedging table. Like a wedging table like with plaster where the water can be absorbed.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's really realistically what I need to do because I love the plaster slab that we made in the bucket with from Sue McLeod's tutorial video.
Yes.
But yeah, I need more of them to be able to.
Yeah,
like,
I need 2.
Yeah.
At least. Mm-hmm. And that's when I'm working. Like right now, I'm not at home like throwing stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't need 2. When I get home and I have a bucket full and I need to dump some stuff.
Yeah.
Especially in the summer. In the winter, it's easier, but in the summer, it's like that's gonna be new clay in a day.
Yeah, which I actually kind of appreciate because you can go through stuff more. Like in the winter, it takes weeks for that slab to absorb enough water for it to be usable. And yeah, when I get on a production kick, speaking of which, it's gonna be busy when I get back.
Yeah, like, same. I have to do my store upload and glaze a bunch of pots, and I have to set some away from Sack Anime because I'm going to the next one with Tea Cozy. And...
Oh, speaking of which, thank you so much for everyone who bought a pot during my shop update, which coincided with the start of NCECA. I pulled up my phone after I got off the plane and I was like, oh my god, Donte, people bought things. Oh my god.
I know I said that I would have my store update before I go on the flight so that I could have that same vibe.
Right.
It didn't happen.
That is okay, my dude.
I'm going to try and get it out within the next 20 days. It's going to be like 30 pots max.
Yeah.
Because the rest of them are for,
Yeah, that still sounds great though. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, is that a wrap on day 2?
I think that's a wrap on day 2.
That's a wrap.
We will see you pots on day 3. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to call you a pot.
We're all pots. Everyone's just a little...
We're all just vessels that hold calories. What is a pot in reality?
I am a pot.
I am a pot and I hold calories and protein if you eat me.
Ooh.
Which you can definitely eat me.
Oh my god.
It is now day 3 of NCECA in Ohio of 2023.
We've been here forever.
You know what? To be honest with you, I kind of feel ready to go home. Like after tomorrow, I expect kind of to get on a flight and be like, okay, time to go back to baby. And I'm so bloated and my sleep schedule is so off. And I'm looking at myself in the camera. And like my hair's not grown out, so I look weird. Because my hair's super short. And then I don't have a beard, so I can see my double chin way easier on camera. And the camera adds weight. I'm just editing video like, who is this fat mother?
Dude, it's all good. It's all good.
So bad. And then like, I don't know what it is about Ohio, but I have constant swamp ass here.
Oh no, that sucks, dude.
It sucks hard.
Oh man, see, I'm lucky because I'm wearing that Handmaid's dress like all the time, so I got plenty of fresh air.
You have air down there, yeah. Today was
so much fun. Yeah, so go ahead.
Today was fun, but today was a wildly exhausting day for socialization.
Yeah, well, we had our podcast today. I feel like we should, let's like before we start to lose energy, we should talk about that before.
Right, you're right. Yeah. So we had our panel. Was it 2:30 or 4:30?
2:30.
It was at 2:30 in room 212, and it was right. And evidently, from what I've been looking at Instagram, that was like the podcasters' room.
Yes.
So
yes.
like almost every pottery podcast was through there. I hope they invite us back next year.
That'd be awesome.
But I think we really hit the mark on what our goal was set out to do as far as talking about collaboration, because Ryan and Becca came over last night to the house, and we talked about like essentially the game plan, and how the conversation would flow.
Yeah, because like the topic being collaboration, like what is it? Learning through collaboration.
Yes,
like that's a very broad topic. So it was like, okay, how do we like narrow this down?
Yeah, and it essentially came up to like experience and troubleshooting. It's like, here's my experience with working through collaboration. Here's how I perceive it, and here's some of the things that have come up, problems or experiences with collaboration with even like with me and you, or them and them, or like in between you and your clients.
Yeah, and we're gonna be getting the audio from that, so hopefully within the next like couple weeks we'll be able to post that. So we'll make that a Mud Peddlers episode.
The room was full. The room was essentially
dude, that
full.
was awesome.
You know what's surreal, and also I know this is a first world problem, but like we can't walk 50 steps without someone being like, oh my god, it's you.
Yeah.
And then,
well, honestly, it's you, dude. Like, because again, folks aren't really like recognizing me much, but they're like, because I mean, again, like I'm in the Handmaid's Tale outfit, so it's like pretty different. Yeah. But dude, like folks are coming up to you all the time. It's awesome.
Dude, I got my first. It's him. I got my first It's Him in my life,
God.
and I also got my first. You were there. Somebody's like, "Can I get your autograph?"
That was yes.
What am I gonna say? No? Am I gonna say no? I want
my
to say like
God.
no. That's weird. So hard.
Oh my God.
I wanted to be like, no, I'm not that cool. But then I looked at her and I was like, I can't say no to that face.
That's good. This is good. You're opening up so much.
I'm trying so hard.
Let's go back to the podcast though, because we had to talk more about the
Okay.
podcast. Yeah. Okay, so from like my observations, okay, well, first of all, my biggest goal was just to like not freeze up on stage because, you know, I mean, I wasn't sure how it was gonna go. I wasn't sure like, oh, is my body suddenly gonna decide to like, I mean, okay, admittedly, my heart was beating hella hard. I had to do like a couple breathing exercises to like chill out for a second, like before the panel started.
Yeah.
But once the panel started, there were a couple times where I started to kind of get into my head and worry about like, oh, how am I gonna like respond to this? But then I was like, nope, like stay in the moment, you know, listen to what they're saying, and then you'll be able to like respond based on that. And it's like, I think like sometimes I had a little bit of trouble figuring out like what to say, like, you know, when to interject, because again, it's like the vibe is different when we're all sitting facing the audience than it is when we're all sitting around like just chilling doing a podcast.
We're not
recording.
in like the trust circle. We're in like a line.
Yeah, so to me it felt a little bit like more stiff and formulaic than our like if it was just the four of us like we did for our cross-pollination podcast.
Right.
But I think we were still able to like, we hit the points we wanted to cover, not like, oh, let me pat myself on the back, but like I think we all did a fairly good job of like, you know, giving each other time to talk. You know, like I think we all talked fairly equally in the amount of time, and
I think so.
Yeah, and I was glad that I was able to get out a few coherent, solid like takeaways.
No, me too.
I'm like, okay, yeah.
Well, because you had mentioned something, and I was trying to get the ball. I was trying to keep the momentum going, right? And I was trying to control it to a degree. So anytime someone made a good point, and I think I honestly think this is like a male brain thing.
Oh yeah.
But when someone makes a sentence, you grab onto a portion of that sentence and you think about how you're going to respond to it.
Right.
And then everything after that portion is just gone. Like anything they say after that, you're like, I don't really care what information you bring after this. I have to respond because I'll forget. If I keep listening, I'd be in the moment.
Oh,
just me personally, I'll forget what the next thing is. I'll be like, oh, I forgot what I was going to say.
Oh, yeah.
But if someone says something and I have a reply to it that's well thought out and thoughtful, and I can kind of put it in a formula that's understandable and eloquent and poignant, then I have to hold on to it. So there were a couple times where someone said something and I was like, that's it, I gotta hold on to that.
Honestly, that's part of the reason that I ended up bringing my notebook up there with me, because I was like, I wanted to see the notes that we had taken during the like our planning session.
Yes.
But also part of it was like for that reason, because I was like, I know I also can't hold on to certain things.
Yeah.
And so because that's true. Like that's hard. And again, when you're like up there in this freaking room full of people, like, oh my god.
Fortunately for me, all the people were people that like, not all of them, but a lot of them were people that I'm like, I recognize half of you at least. From Instagram.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm not as nervous as a room full of strangers.
Yeah, that's true.
Leah was there, and I reckon like I honed in on Leah a couple times.
Yeah.
Because I was like, I know she's on my Pokemon Go friends list. I know her.
Yeah.
I think
like,
we did a good job.
I think so too. I mean, like Ryan and Becca are always like rad to talk with, and getting to share some of our experiences in this format was pretty cool. Like I hope we get to do it again.
My barometer for how well we did was confirmed when people came up to me afterwards, because we had to go at 6:00 like a pottery meetup thing. At this brewery, and people came up to me and they were like, "Hey, you're Donte, right? Like you spoke really well at the con." They told me like you spoke really well. And that told me two things. Number one, you didn't think I could speak that well, did you? It's like when you go up to like you ever when people are like, oh, you speak so well for and then you're like, okay, so you didn't think based on how I present myself initially that I could speak as well as I did. Yeah,
it's a little bit of that thing of like how, like, what is it, like white folks always, like often will tell black folks, like, oh, you're so articulate.
You're so articulate. Like, and you're like, what does that mean? What does that mean? And the second thing is that my barometer was like, I think I spoke really well. I think I was very poignant. I think I got through my stuff concisely. I think... And then people came up to me and said, like, yes, you did those things. And I was like, okay, good. So my barometer for how good I am at speaking when I actually try to speak well is not off.
I think you did a really nice job of like again, I could tell you were kind of like nervous in the first like couple minutes.
I was trying so hard.
Yeah, but but I think you loosened up a little bit afterwards, and then I agree. Like you said some really, like you made some really good points, and you also were able to do that within like the humor that you normally like inject into the podcast. So you're
used
able to...
all my social points. Now I liked when somebody asked you about your Handmaid's Tale. Nico did.
Yeah. That was. That was really cool. Actually, so it's interesting. Like, so speaking on that, my friend Nivia, who's from Puerto Rico, after the panel, she came up and she's like, oh yeah, like I wanted to kind of ask this question, but I wasn't sure if it was going to be like too, you know. She was like, but hopefully she's okay with me sharing that. But anyway, she brought up the point that it's like, oh yeah, like The Handmaid's Tale has become a symbol, but it's kind of like, she framed it in a better way than I'm going to be able to relate. But essentially the point that she was making is that reproductive rights access has always been harder for people of color. And kind of like the whole thing with The Handmaid's Tale is that it's a story written by a white woman about white women.
Yes.
And how it's kind of like this, again, like exclusionary thing, and how it's like the feminist movement has this history of being centered on white women. And so I was like, oh man, like I basically told her like, yeah, like that would have been a really good point to bring up, because like, again, that's like something that I honestly forgot about. And like I think about the fact that like when I'm like donating money to Planned Parenthood and such, I think about the fact that like, yeah, like reproductive rights are often harder to access for people of color, but I wasn't integrating that into how I was talking about this experience of wearing this outfit. So that's something that if I do something like this again, I'd like to bring more attention to that.
Well, I think when people think about let's just take a community like the LGBTQ community, right? I think when people outside of that community, or sometimes even who are newly accessed to that community, think about the community itself, they think it's a cohesive pot of people who all agree on the same moral dynamics, but realistically they all have different dynamics.
Because everyone's people.
Of course, and it's still a hierarchy of people, and you do have to remember that, like, not you specifically, but people have to remember that, like, even though your rights are being XYZ and you don't like it, you're still kind of like, as a white person, at the top of that level.
Exactly.
You know, and like, it's a little worse on different levels for other people on different axioms.
Yeah. Well, that's that whole idea of like intersectionality.
Exactly. Yes. There's different intersections in which meet the same issue on different levels, so you get this cross section. Do you know what a meme is?
A what?
Or like a mammy? You know what a mammy is?
Oh, yes.
I was reading a Facebook post and they were talking about how like somebody pretty much razored down The Handmaid's Tale. They were like, this is just a story of mammies for white people. Like, this is just like, like you're gonna have, I'm gonna force you to take care of and have my kid, like you're my handmaiden. It's just the black version is like, oh, that's my mammy. You know what I mean? Like, that's the person who has and raises the kids for me. Because I'm rich and white and I own the cotton fields. Yeah. And I was like, I haven't read the book, but that does kind of seem, I can see the relation.
Yeah. Like it's a...
They all have those weird, they have the bonnet things and they're all on the white Aunt Jemima looking ass. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. Yeah. No, there's a lot there, and it's definitely something I want to spend more time like honing in on the messaging for that. Because again, like, I'm a white person doing this, like, you know? Yeah. Anyway, so I thought that was a really interesting point, and I'm really glad she brought that up to me. So, podcast, and then we went to the pottery party.
The show was called like the Imposter Cup show. Yeah. And I was at this freaking gigantic local brewery.
Huge brewery.
And there were like a bunch of like tables popped up. People were selling their cup, mostly cups. People selling their cups, and there was like several, like probably a couple hundred people there easily.
I thought we were safe, but like I went to go get a burrito and someone's like, "You're Donte, where's Lindsey?" And I was like, "I'm on a burrito." And then I tried to go to the bathroom and someone's like, "Donte!" And then their grandma came over, and then their brother came over, and I was like, "This was cool for like 30 people."
Oh my god!
But now I'm trying to live my life. And after like we've had like probably a little over 30 interactions of like, "You're the person."
Yeah.
In today.
I mean, you say we, but it's been you, my dude. Like, I've had a couple people come up, and actually, interesting, I've had more people come up who didn't know who I was, like, didn't know, like, us, like, the Mud Peddlers, but who were like, "Can I ask you about your outfit?" I've had much more of that this time around. Yeah.
I've 80% of my interactions have been, like, YouTube people. Mm-hmm. There was even one lady who, like, didn't believe it was me, and evidently her friend told her, like, she was like, "Oh, I was hoping Donte would be here," and she's like, "He's right behind you." Oh and then she just stood behind me for like 3 minutes straight. And, you know, I could feel him behind me, right? Yeah. So I like kept moving, and then she kept moving. And finally I turned around, and she was like, "It is you." And I was like, "What have you been doing?"
Oh my god.
I mean, she's like, "I was trying to listen to your voice because you have a very distinct voice and pattern of talking."
Yeah.
And I didn't believe. And she's like, "I told her it was you." And I was like, "Just Just come on, say hi.
Oh my god.
You don't have to creep on my voice, dog. It's okay. I'm already full and fat and in Ohio. I have no defense system here.
Oh my god.
Yeah. And,
yeah. The gathering was really fun. Like I'm sorry that you had so many. You were just trying to live your life and you had so many folks come on. But
I told them to come up to me this time, and so this is.
Yeah.
Me getting what I asked for.
Yeah.
But we talked to a lot more companies now.
You talked to hella folks.
I shook hands.
Yeah. You should talk. You should. Yeah. Like
I talked to Advancer, and then the crazy thing is that like the companies had no idea who I was last year, and then I kind of told them like I'm Donte, I have a YouTube channel, and then this year I decided to be a bit more forward.
Yeah.
So I have my card on me. They scan, they check out the numbers, and so finally I went up to Advancer and I'm like, hey, I run a YouTube channel.
And for context, Advancer is makes a particular kind of kiln shelves.
Kiln shelf, yeah.
Yeah, kiln shelves that are like super freaking thing. It's a whole thing.
Super nice. They're like $200 something a shelf though, for like a half shelf, not even a full shelf.
Yeah.
But they're worth it. Like they're worth it as long as you don't break them. They're not cordiorite. They're not the stuff that our normal shelves are made out of.
Yeah.
And like I talked to him and he's like, oh yeah. And then after I see the kind of like, yeah, whatever, kid, you're like the 50th person who's trying to schmooze with us. I give them the card, they see the numbers, like, oh, okay, hi.
Yeah, like you're actually like you have some numbers.
Oh, you're him, okay.
Yeah.
So we did that with Amico, and we did it with Mako, and we did it with Advancer, and I think we did it with one more company. I don't think we did it with Coyote.
Yeah.
Ooh, Clayscape.
Again, just for context, when you say we, it's like the Earth Nation Ceramic Channel, not like you and I. Because I was not like, I'm just like, I don't have the. I don't have the numbers. I'm doing my handmaids thing and just like walking around and looking at stuff.
You were talking to quote unquote fans, for lack of a better term, of like both our podcast and YouTube channel and like your outfit.
Right.
And then I was over there like, I can't just stand here. I gotta go schmooze a little bit.
Yeah, dude, you were doing. I'm so happy for you. Anyway, so carry on.
I'm done now. That's the only time I'm doing this. This is my yearly quota of schmoozing. Yeah, and no, that was awesome. And then Amico was like, we're gonna give you our flux glaze. Clayscapes is a new they're buddies with Tim C.
Oh yeah.
And they were talking about how they're trying to get their dry glazes. Because the high majority of people just want easy access bottles. They want to take the bottle, open it, shake it up a bit, and put it on their pots, right?
Right.
And he was talking about how he could sell much more glaze if people just mix it themselves. And I'm talking like a gallon of glaze for like $30-$40. And he's like, all you gotta do is run water through it.
Yep.
My water ain't as good as, like, my water is the same as your water.
Well, I mean,
depending. You live in Flint or something, I don't know. But
yeah, well, also, I mean, like, different, like, minerals and stuff. Like, I've heard it recommended to use filtered water when you make glazes, but...
I used to, and then I stopped because I was like, this... just as far as Sacramento goes, I'm like, it didn't make any difference. I did both.
Yeah.
But Clayscapes, I think I might be working with them pretty soon and doing some glaze reviews with their dry glazes.
Hell yeah, dude.
And we definitely connected with some companies.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm pretty happy about it.
What was it that made you decide to do that this time around?
If I'm gonna fly out of state to be away from my child and wife, my wife's hot, okay? If I'm be in Ohio, not getting no love, not getting no nuzzles from my baby, and not sleeping, plus my boss gave it to me.
Yeah.
I think the schedule got handed down to somebody new. Don't say any more than that, but she was like, you're gonna go to Ohio, I'm gonna give you like 4 days extra after you come back.
So you actually get to take a break after NCECA.
Thank
God.
And I think most of my kitchen thinks that like I'm over here partying, and I'm like, not really. It's kind of just work.
This is a business trip, like 100%.
Essentially a business trip, and I hate flying, and so I figured if I have to do all these things that I'm not really fond of doing, I might as well make it financially and growth-wise worth it.
Yeah. That's so cool.
Clayscapes was even and they said this is a pipe dream, but they're like, yeah, we have a couple people that we make their glazes for them, and then we sell them off and give them a percentage because they're the ones who formulated the glaze.
Oh man.
And I'm just like, let me get some of that.
Oh dude, that would be so freaking. So you like the glazes that you've developed.
Yes.
People would be able to buy that in bulk.
Yes.
Like from Clayscapes. That's so freaking cool.
Well,
dude.
because I give out my recipes, but for most people, even if you're listening to this and you don't make your own glazes, or you don't know how to make glazes, or you don't know the process that I go through, or you don't have a kiln that can do holds, maybe you have a manual kiln, so it's more difficult for you. You're just like, I'm just gonna order it offline.
Right.
You can get the powder stuff, and they'll mix it up for me, and there you go. Have Dante's glaze.
Yeah.
Yeah, without the knowledge base or without going through the steps of learning how to make your own glaze.
Right, because you wouldn't have to go through the process of like buying all the individual materials and figuring that out, and just so you would be able to.
Right, and I was like,
just add water.
Just add water. That would be so wild.
Dude, that'd be awesome.
I gotta buy some of Dante's Lumos.
Oh my god, that'd be awesome. Dude, I'm so glad that it's working out so well for you, man.
We'll see how honestly. Oh, we also met the person who made Ceramicon, Elizabeth.
Oh yes, Elizabeth Young. Yes, dude, she is super freaking nice.
She's so charming.
Oh my god.
She's so charming.
Yeah.
She's like just gives off positive energy.
Yeah, I'm really glad. Like when we were at the brewery, I got to like sit down and hang out and like talk to her. I also like, dude, I'm so happy like because after COVID and everything, like I was like, how am I ever gonna be able to talk to strangers again? Yeah. But dude, I talked to strangers and I was chill, and I think I was chill. Like, but I was talking.
You were partying.
Yeah.
You were like in the brewery and you were dancing. You were drinking a little bit, and me, I was spent, so I had my headphones on. I was like, I'm not doing none of this.
No, I was definitely I was like, today was definitely like the most energy I've had at NCECA. I was kind of tired like after doing the podcast and everything, a little socially spent, but came back to the house, like I hopped in the shower. I did end up changing into more like dude vibes clothing because I was a little like, I was a little spent from wearing the Handmaid's Tale outfit. So I'm like,
I'm wearing it for 3 days.
I'm gonna wear it for a few more. But it felt really good to be able to find a way to like talk to people that I was just meeting and be like, hey, my name's Lindsey, like, and having that confidence. So that to me, like, again, like I'm not necessarily at the point where you are, where I'm like networking with big names and companies and such, but it felt really good to be able to have that social wherewithal to be able to converse with strangers and have it feel like cool.
Well, I think it's important too, because even if you're not like networking like I am, as you say, you just want them to like have a good rapport with you so that when they do business ventures in the future, they call you up like, oh, I know who can take care of that right now. Lindsey.
Yeah.
Donte. You know what I mean?
I mean, to be honest, I wasn't even going that far. I was literally just like, can I talk to people? Can I exist in a social environment and talk with strangers? Because for me, that's like a major victory.
Listen, I didn't like money at first.
Yeah.
But I have a new god now.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And he's in everybody's pockets.
Oh my god.
And he makes sure your rent is paid.
Oh yeah.
And he puts food in your fridge.
Oh my god.
And he gets your hands dirty and it passes through everybody's church.
This is true.
Money.
I love it.
But you seem to be doing like a nightly thing of people coming over. It's just all these potters.
Dude, it's so fun.
It's fun, but like definitely I'm gonna go upstairs and edit. I'm trying to get an episode out a day so that you can see a day behind what I'm doing now. So like what we're doing right now, so they should be on like day 2, whatever I'm about to edit right now. Right now we're on day 3.
Yeah.
And it'll be released on day 4. And then I'll edit day 3 on day 4. And you know what I mean? They make a day or so.
It's like it's like a, what is it, trailing or stacking, whatever the hell it's called.
And then and then hopefully we can do another wheel review thing. And that's a whole other discussion, but
I've been managing to get my stories up on Instagram and like doing reels and stuff. I'm like, okay, like little baby steps. I still have to actually go do that tonight for this past day's events, because it's like I don't know, just in terms of like business side of things, I tend to not like posting stories throughout the day because like sometimes I want to add like hashtags and stuff, and it takes me a second to like write to like type everything out on my phone, and it just kind of takes me out of the moment, and maybe the thing doesn't upload, or maybe the I want to film a bunch of little shots like back to back, like several mugs that I'm looking at, and I want to edit those videos together almost like a reel, but then like put them in my stories. And it's kind of just like I would have to multitask way too much and be spending a lot more time at the convention looking down at my phone. So what I've been doing is just at night I'll just like spend an hour or something like that, or a little less, like putting together stories and then preparing a reel for the next day.
I think that's the move, is to like, because I need to do the activities for the footage. And then like I need to find time to do the footage. You know what I mean?
When you're doing a lot, dude. I still can't believe you're doing a video every day.
It might be a little late. It might be like I'm home already and releasing day number 5. You know what I mean?
I mean, still though, dude. Like that's awesome. You're doing so much. The YouTube algorithm is gonna love you.
The last video only got like 300 views in 6 hours, and I was like, Huh. That's weird. But I didn't label it correctly and all that. Like, I didn't like, well, you can't believe this one thing that you need in your life.
Oh my god.
With the O face pointing at something. Like, I didn't do any of that.
Oh yeah. You gotta do it.
I like to treat our viewers with respect sometimes. I don't want to cheese you. I just want you to have the information you need to have so that you can decide whether you want to be part of that or not.
Yes.
And then if you don't like that, then you can go on to your next serotonin kick.
Yeah. My next serotonin kick is going to be the goldfish that somebody brought me today. Somebody brought me a bag of goldfish today at the panel. Right before the panel, they came up and they gave me a bag of goldfish.
It's so nice.
I'm so happy. I can't remember if I mentioned goldfish on like a previous podcast episode, but they're seriously one of my favorite snacks.
In all honesty, I told that person, like, remember I made the joke, like, feed me?
Yeah.
She gave them to me, and then I was like, well, Lindsay's got to hold these. And so I gave them to you. I don't think they were specifically for you, is what I'm saying.
Oh, that's awkward. I thought they were for me.
No, but I was sharing them with you.
Oh, okay.
But it was right before, like, the panel, and I was like, I don't want to have that discussion. I'm just going.
That's totally fine. Okay, well, that's awkward.
Yeah, screw you, dog.
Oh, well. I'm sorry.
These are my goldfish, dog.
I'm just thinking, well, you're going to have to pry them out of my cold, dead
It's okay.
fingers.
I don't like goldfish anyway.
You don't like goldfish?
No.
Crazy man.
They're orange crackers. They're Cheetos with no dust on them.
Yeah, they're so good, but they're tiny and you bite their little faces off.
I'll have a little bit. You bet my arm again.
All right, okay.
So this is day. Day 0 was the flight. Day 1 was.
It's Friday, and we've been here since Tuesday. Tuesday was day 0.
Yeah, and then
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
So it's
Saturday,
technically day 3.
Friday, day 3.
Since we've been here 4 days.
That should give you a sense of our mental
Tuesday,
status right
Wednesday, Thursday. Today's Friday.
Yeah.
And we got here Tuesday. Wednesday, Tuesday.
It's day
Wednesday,
3.
Thursday, Friday. We've technically been in Ohio for 3.5 days.
Yeah.
We got here on Tuesday. It's now Friday. We leave on Sunday. So technically speaking, since we started off on day 0, this should be podcast after debriefing for NCECA number 3.
Yes.
Technically.
Yes.
Okay, we mathed it out. We got it.
Yeah, we did. We're
got
so
there.
good. So, what the hell did we do today, Donte?
How do we feel about today? So the first thing we did. Well, let's
Wait. I was gonna say first we should like explain what we're doing right now, because I think will explain why the day has shaped up the way that it is.
Okay, so let's tell them the ending and so we go from the beginning.
Okay.
So right now we are on the 2nd floor of the essentially Airbnb we rented out that has its own living room and like pool table, its own kitchen, but the other potters don't seem to come up here very often, and there's only like one other room up here or 2 other rooms up here, and they like to socialize far more than like I do specifically. And Lindsay's way burnt out, so we're up here like watching Breaking Bad together.
Yeah. It's kind of great though, guys.
It's
Not gonna
great,
lie.
yeah.
I'm like, I got into my pajamas.
Yeah.
I have a pillow.
My socks are off.
My socks are off too, but I got a blanket on me.
Yeah.
It's great. We turned off the lights, so it's like dark, and we're just like watching Walter White huck up his family.
Well, because and so like in a weird vicarious way, because of my glazed chemistry passion, I've also been watching this man cook up crystal and been like, oh, I get it.
Oh my God.
I don't get it at all. I've never sold any amount of drugs other than coffee and sugar. But like yeah, in a weird way, I wanted to get into Breaking Bad because it was such a Game of Thrones-esque phenomenon that I never got into.
Yeah.
And I figured if I'm on a flight and gonna be editing for this long, I might as well.
Yeah.
But the last people who were here didn't sign a Netflix account.
Yeah, so we just
we're
have
using
Netflix,
it.
yeah.
We're using
And
it.
for me, I'm just kind of like, you know what? I just want to zone out and like disassociate and not have to think and not have to have like my face in an expression. I feel kind of bad because like I feel like at the end of every day they're getting like the tired version of us.
100%.
Because we're like, because during the day we're like, I'd say we're like pretty energetic because like
For a good 4 hours, we're energetic. And
yeah.
then after that, I'm like, we gotta go.
Yeah. So now that they know where we are, let's talk about our day.
So the day started
Too damn early.
First of all, we went to sleep at like 2 a.m. last night.
Dude, it was like 3 by the time we stopped talking.
Yeah, and we did that thing where we like talked all night, and then we finally fell asleep, and we're like, we should probably go to sleep. And I was like, yeah probably.
Yeah.
And by the time we went to sleep, we had to wake up like 5 or 6 hours later to leave the house by 9 to get to a podcast pottery think tank
which you do not have access to. We have access to for like notes essentially, but you guys will not get that version of it.
Yeah.
Literally every ceramic art podcast was there. For Flux Sake,
it was
Real
pretty
Talk, we were
cool.
there. What was it? The colored.
The Potter's Cast.
The Potter's Cast.
Oh
I think
my
it's
gosh.
called like the Colored Potter's Podcast.
Hold on. Let me look it up.
It's specifically like a black-centric ceramic art podcast.
Yeah.
I forgot what it's called, but it's called like the Colored Ceramicist, the Colored Potter.
Potters of Color 2.0.
Potters of Color 2.0.
Yeah.
And she was there.
Yeah.
It's just
They
one
were-
person. It's not a
Yeah.
pair of people.
Yeah, it wasn't every podcaster, but I mean, because there's been a bunch, like, because the
Yeah.
because there were some folks that like I think Clay and Color and the Kiln Sitters weren't there,
Right.
Unless
Kiln Sitters?
they were, and I'm really sorry if you're listening to this and I'm messing it up, but it was a fair number of
It was
like,
most of
it was
the
like
podcasts.
It was like 5 or 6 different podcasters.
Easily.
Like Paul Blaze was there.
The Red Clay Rambler was there.
Yeah, Red Clay Rambler.
The Potter's Cast guy,
Potter's
the bit
Cast.
Blair, like you said.
Ryan and Becca, of course.
Of course.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of neat. Like, we were basically just getting together and talking about, like, business stuff. Like, we were talking about different ways to, like, approach sponsorships, which I thought was really cool.
That was a long talk. That was like a good 20 minutes
Yeah.
of the hour-long talk. Was
Yeah.
like, here's how I handle sponsorships.
Yeah. I'm actually really grateful for that because it makes me feel a lot more confident. Or not confident necessarily. It makes me feel a lot more like, oh, like, you know, I think with our numbers, we actually probably could, like, I think the Mud Peddlers has enough of a base to, like...
Yeah.
Get you know, or at least seek out sponsorship. So
Yeah.
that's like going to be, I think, a goal for me for next NCECA.
Or for like this year at least, like if you know, approach us.
Yeah.
Approach Lindsey.
Yeah.
Can I just say this? Can I call him out real quick?
Yeah.
Let me call him out real quick.
Oh God. Okay.
I feel like I have a really good relationship with Amico. I talked to them on the floor. They were.
Wait. Are you gonna throw some shade at Amico?
I'm not gonna throw any shade. No,
Okay.
Amico is fantastic, very consistent
I mean-
towards their colors and and Glaze's company.
You admittedly though, you could throw shade, like
I could,
like,
but I won't.
because
I'm not going to.
I want to do the thing where it's like we always maintain honesty, but I'm also like, but we don't want to
Well,
upset
those two
potential.
aren't cross sectional for me right now.
Yeah,
I'm not going
yeah.
to maintain honesty and throw shade. I'm going to give compliments
Yes.
and
Oh, okay,
But I would
okay,
like
sorry.
to say that I am very aware that Amico sponsors a lot of podcasts, and I feel like I have a good enough relationship with them to say on air, bro, just sponsor us, Amico. Look, your hands are already in the pockets of like almost every other podcast. Just add us to the roster, honestly. You know, we'll make a deal. We'll shake hands. I'll keep putting your glazes on the screen, and now you just have another like variable for your name to be out there for now the podcast instead of the YouTube channel.
Which, by the way, like
Cover me with your blanket.
we would not be able to do without you, the
100%.
person who is listening, the people who are listening.
Yep,
Like
you're clicking
and
the
that's-
buttons.
and that's freaking crazy to me. Like
Yeah.
that's awesome. But
The Spotify has a rating system. You click the ratings. Good time. Love you long time.
yeah, but it was cool to like be in that environment and be like, oh, like this is professional. This is like, well, there's many different
It's
versions
actually
of
crazy.
there's many different versions of professional networking, but this was like we got invited to like go to this thing, which was really
This feels like networking.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And it was really cool. Like, I'm glad. I feel like I learned like a lot from being able to just like sit down in that environment and like talk about stuff.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I also got to talk to Matt and Rose Katz of the For Flux Sake podcast, and like Matt Katz I can tell he was just as tired as I was, but like he's good at pulling the energy from the depths of his soul in order to like put on the show for the people, you know. And
Well, because you were very clearly like you guys, y'all should have seen Donte.
I was fangirling so hard.
It was awesome to see,
Yeah.
to be honest. Like, I could see that you were like trying to be cool about it, but you were also very much like,
I don't often get nervous because I think the nervous tendencies of human beings stems from the judgment of others, but I very rarely give a shit about the judgment of others.
Yeah.
They're like, they don't like you, and I'm like, it's crazy. That sounds like not my problem. But like, I hold him in such esteem.
Oh, the Maker's Playbook. Rebecca Ixcara
There
was
we
also
go.
there.
Thank
That's
you.
another one I
Yes,
was like,
that's
oh,
right.
shit.
She was there. That's
yeah,
right.
she had some really
She
good
was
points.
talking, yeah. She was holding space, honestly. I hold Matt Katz in such high regard that like I was like, I have questions for him, and whatever he says is the truth. Like, you know what I mean? Granted, I also went to For Fuck's Sake, and I think you were there with me. I went to the For Fuck's Sake live casting that was at 1 p.m. in the same room. It seems like Ben Carter put all the podcasters in one room and just kept rolling that room.
Yeah, that's basically what was going on, yeah. And what was fun about that, too, is that before the For Fuck's Sake live podcast, we actually got to hang out with Elizabeth Young, who was the creator of Ceramicon.
Yes.
And we got to, I think we talked about it a little bit yesterday in the last podcast. So
She's so cool.
Super cool. We got to hang out with her yesterday. We were all at the brewery for the opening of the oh my gosh, that Cup, not the Cup Exchange.
It wasn't the Cup Exchange.
The Imposter Show.
Yeah. Which
anyway,
I was already spent by the time I got there.
Yeah.
So like I honestly was blasting Drake and like hard style workout music in my headphones.
Yeah, and
it was very loud. It was very soul. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I was ignoring people, but I was just there in physicality only.
Yeah. I could see it, and I was like. But I was like, okay, Dante's like taking care of himself. He's got his pod. He's got his like earbuds in. And,
I was secluding. Yeah, just fine.
Yeah, but we got to hang out with her yesterday, and today we actually got to sit down with her. Like we actually went into the podcasting room before the like For Fuck's Sake people were in there, and we got to do like a little mini episode. But we definitely want to have her on the pod for like a proper episode, but that was kind of a fun.
Well, we got to get her soon because like I don't want her to get busy with something else in life, and then she's like, I don't have time. Because now that she's on radar we talked about this with her, and she feels like she came kind of out of nowhere, and so a lot of people had a certain amount of mistrust with signing up for a program that realistically costs quite a bit of money for most people. Yeah. But now that she's on radar and people are like, okay, I kind of trust it a bit more. I'm getting messages of people are like, I should have signed up.
Really?
Oh yeah, people are like, I should have, because realistically, it's like 12. You know, it's like, oh, I'm taking a master's class for $500. Elizabeth essentially offered you 12 master classes.
18.
Yes, thank you. 18 master classes for essentially the same price that a master would charge you for one class, at a higher price anyway. And she's giving you a year or more of access.
Yeah, and it was less than 500. Like if you did the early sign up, I think it was closer to like
$3.
No, it was
like $2.94 for early bird.
No, it was cheaper. It was cheaper than that.
Cheaper?
Yeah.
Okay, well now you have no reason to.
Yeah.
Now that solidifies my point now.
Yeah.
No, it was great. I will say, on God, high key. Bet, no cap. The burritos inside that brewery and the chips and the nacho dip that we still have some in the fridge was a bussing. It was double Dutch. It was Bussosaurus Rex.
Oh my God.
It was so good. I was like, wow, what are they doing in that kitchen?
Yeah.
I unrolled the burrito. There were tater tots in the burrito.
Bro.
Tater tots, bacon, which I'm usually not a fan of, eggs, some kind of sauce. It was so good.
I had a banh mi taco, and it was like the gods speaking to me.
I don't know if it was because we were hungry or what.
Nah, dude, that was genuinely good food.
Oh my God. And I also didn't get a drink with the burrito, and I was so hungry I scarfed it down. And I don't usually drink beer, but I got thirsty enough to be like, where's the water? Couldn't find water, and I was like, get mask off. I went to go get beer, and I chugged the beer, and by the time I got home to edit, I was like, ooh,
yeah.
I'm dizzy.
So after For Fuck's Sake, what did we do? Because we went and got lunch, or we went and got coffee with Leah Harvell of Queen Amethyst Ceramics.
Yes, we went to a shop called Black Coffee, which is fairly close to the convention center. It's like 3 blocks maximum.
And it's where we're going to be doing our meetup tomorrow.
Where we're going to be doing our meetup tomorrow. We put it on our social media. I will probably post about it tonight on Facebook. I've already posted on
Facebook? That's right. You still do post on Facebook.
I have a Facebook
page. That's right.
And then I've already posted about it on Instagram.
Yeah.
Granted, my Instagram stories go to my Facebook anyway.
Right. Yeah.
But
that's why I was like, that's weird. Just like specifically mentioning Facebook.
I want to do an official post though.
Yeah.
Those are the 2 places I play. They're kind of married. They're both controlled by Meta, the company. I'll probably post it a little bit more just so people can go. We warned the shop owner. I was like, I'm just letting you know we're gonna invite people tomorrow. And he was like, yeah, someone did that already. Yeah. Wearing the NCECA badge makes the people of Ohio be a bit nicer to you. If you have, I've noticed that every shop I've been to, they look at the badge and they immediately go like, oh, you're probably a nice person.
That's good. That speaks well to like the clay community, because if there were a bunch of like jerks out there, they'd probably see the badge and go, oh no.
It speaks well to the clay community, but it makes me very worried for the residents of Ohio. Like, no badge,
ass. You ass. But Badge, oh, you're probably a cool person.
Oh my god.
Yeah, the Potters are awesome, but our town residents, whoa.
Oh man. That actually reminds me, I had more and more people ask me about my outfit today. Probably had the most conversations with folks, and honestly it was mostly just people kind of walking up and being like, hey, like, why are you doing this?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, and I appreciated that because it was like, I never got the sense from folks that they were like, why are you doing this? Like, you know, you heathen or whatever. Yeah, it was cool. I got to have more conversations about that, so I feel like the thing I wanted to do, I have done, which is raise awareness about Ohio reproductive rights laws, or lack thereof.
I think you're doing great because you've been wearing it for 3-4 days now.
Yeah, since Tuesday at 3 a.m.
The only time you haven't worn it is when we went to like the imposter party.
Yeah.
When you were in like normal street clothes.
Yeah.
Every other time you've worn it, and I just want to say I admire that, because I would have been like, this is uncomfortable the second day, and I would have been like, the cause is righteous, but my body is not.
I mean, I think if the outfit was really uncomfortable, I probably would have ditched it by now, but fortunately it's actually fairly comfortable, so it's not too bad. But
maybe the people who wear that kind of stuff got a point, you know?
Oh my god.
I mean, I'm just saying, like, you see the ultra religious and we assume like, oh, it's probably made of like pure wool or cotton, it's super itchy and uncomfortable. But like, anytime I've worn a cloak, and I have because I'm a nerd, I'm like, this feels good.
Cloaks are nice, dude.
Cloaks are
like,
nice.
I low key, I'm making another coat to just like wear out and about, because they are real cozy. It's nice.
I just, you know, like sweatpants for your shoulders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They feel good.
Yeah.
As I like to call them, give up on life for the day pants.
I would say it's less giving up on life and it's more embracing your needs for relaxation, because that's what we're doing this evening.
You're making it positive.
It's great. Exactly. That's what I do.
It's like taking off your bra for your butt.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like once your pants are off and you put sweatpants on, you're like, I'm not going back out.
Anyway, I'm sorry, because I'm trying to think after For Fleck's Sake.
Yeah.
Which was really fun. Like I went up.
It was good. It was a packed room.
Yeah. Did I ask a question? No, you asked a question. You asked questions.
I asked a question, but I phrased the same way. It actually got me in trouble, and I won't go too deep into, you know, my frustrations with it, but it actually got me in trouble because I got to the thing and I said, hey, I noticed that there's a lot of glazes out there that essentially don't follow the rules of the cone system, and I think a lot of people, when they get a bottle of glaze at like cone 5.6, it is meant for cone 5.6. But I realized that you could take it up to much higher and lower temperatures and still have them be functional. Mm-hmm. For example, you can get a cone 04 glaze, low fire, and bring it up to cone 5 or 1 or 2 or 3, and it's still relatively functional. And a lot of the times it comes a little better. And I know it sounds like I'm speaking blasphemy right now, but I promise you, if you put like a little cookie or a little catch underneath your pot and you glaze it and you wipe off the foot properly, there's a good portion of glazes out there that are lower temperature that you can take to higher temperatures. A lot of Mako, especially cone 5, 6 glazes, can go to cone 10. Mm-hmm. And they look fantastic. They have them on their website now, actually, and I got some footage of it. They would show me, hey, this is our new luminescent glaze. Here's it is at cone 5, and here it is at cone 10. So I got up there on the For Fleck's Sake podcast, and I just, of course, my blanket statement, I said, hey, can you explain to me why cones aren't real? They're just straight up not real. And he was like, what do you mean? And I was like, you can just take anything to a higher temperature. I should have made an addendum to that and explained that cones have a certain amount of leeway, and they're not as stringent as they are with their temperatures as most people think.
Yeah, like it's not like you were saying cones are not literally
real.
Literally
Yes.
real. It's more like the way that we imagine cones governing the way glazes behave is not as strict as we think.
Yes, and I think my statement came out wrong because on the way out I got stopped by this lady who it looked like she was bringing attention to me, to her son and his friend. And she was like, Donte, can you explain your cones aren't real statement? And I basically said what I said now. Mm-hmm. I said, it seems to me, based on my testing and a lot of other people's say-so, that you can very easily take lower fire glazes and take them to higher fires, and they come out functional. Yeah. And I phrased it in such a way where I said, it's still a glaze, it's still a coat of glass-like chemical that doesn't allow you to reach through the pot. Mm-hmm. It doesn't craze a good amount of the time. It might run a little bit, but a lot of the times it kind of doesn't. It doesn't really change much. You get better color. You might not get the desired effect. So when a company gives you
a bottle of glaze and says, this will make floating blue. What they mean to say is this is the amount of energy that you have to put this glaze underneath to get a certain chemical reaction to get this desired textile that we put a picture of on the bottle. Mm-hmm. But realistically, you could take it to cone 8.
Mm-hmm. You'll just get a different thing than what's on the bottle.
It's usually, in my experience, it's usually a bit better. Mm.
So how did this get you in trouble?
It didn't really get me in trouble, but the guy that I was talking to, I couldn't read him. I couldn't tell if he was like, I know more than you, and that's cones are real, and you're dumb, and I want you to tell me why you think cones aren't real, or if he wanted me to further explain myself, because I rattled off a bunch of like reasons why I think they're not real, and he was just like, no, he didn't give me anything. He just kind of sat there with his back against the wall, and for a second I was like, I can't tell if this is above your head or if it's below your head. And I think the thing that made me think that like, the thing that makes me think he thinks I'm dumb is I was like, do you want my contact info so we could talk about this later? Because I gotta get going. And he goes, no, I'm good, thank you. And I was like, okay, well, I'm going to go now. Because I was weird. I got to my group, and then he tapped me on the shoulder on the way out, and he goes, it was good to talk to you. And I'm like, well, now I'm getting mixed signals. now I don't know what you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But, yeah, he talked about the Bristol effect and how that works. And, you know, I rattled off all my questions to Matt Katz. And, you know, I got the fix and I got the information I needed. Although, it's not going to help me in the studio. He gave me the answer of, Matt Katz that is, he gave me the answer of essentially like, you're on the right path, but you got to test more.
Yeah.
You're figuring it out. Because I have a cone 10 glaze that works fantastic at cone 6 with a little hold on it.
Oh, nice.
And it doesn't follow the rules that he's laid out for me.
Okay.
So when I asked him about it, he was like, yeah, that works that way sometimes. And I was like, no, it breaks the rules. And he's like, yeah, but it still works. Like, if it works, it works.
Yeah.
You got a cone 10 glaze, you put it in at cone 6, it works. You got the desired effect, you did the math and the chemistry to it, you are correct. And I was like, right, but can you explain why it broke the rules? He goes, yeah, sometimes it'd be like that. Like,
yeah.
His answer was like, sometimes it'd be like that, dog. Like,
I feel like that's something that For Flux's Sake does really well, is like take the things that we assume to be truth and assume to be laws.
Yes.
And just kind of goes like a cat knocking a glass off of a table, just being like, boop, nope.
Was it?
Shattering your expectations.
Well, that's the thing about a lot of the chemistry in general, not just glaze chemistry, is that it's based on a set of universal laws that once you learn them, all have exceptions. Mm-hmm. And once you find out those exceptions, you can work within the system to change things, just like alchemy, and kind of bend them to your will to get certain chemical reactions, either gradual or immediate, or, you know, like something that's a little more volatile. But it's the way I phrased it to him. He was just like, yes, it breaks the rules, but yes, it also worked. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, it's not supposed to work if it breaks the rules. He goes, yes, it is. Like, you just don't know how it breaks the rules on a chemical level yet.
Yeah.
You know, so I essentially got the direction I wanted, but not the answer I wanted.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Well, I'm really glad that you got the opportunity to talk to him, because I know that was like
Made my day.
one of the biggest things that it seemed like you were wanting out of NCECA this year, is like getting to talk to them.
I got little pins.
Yeah.
And then he threw one to Lindsey, and Lindsey was like, I'm not going to use this. And I was like, ooh, I have 2 pins.
No, that's not true. He didn't throw one to me.
He tried to throw one to you.
Yeah, because he asked, like, do you want one? And I said, no, I haven't earned it yet.
Oh.
Yeah, that's what I said.
Okay, well, now I have 2 pins.
I don't know how you got 2 pins, but...
Because he tried to throw one to you, and he threw it anyway.
Did he?
He did. He threw it anyway, and then he looked at me and
did I just like not see it?
Nope.
Oh, that's awkward.
So now I have 2 pins.
Oh, I feel bad now.
I feel like
God, I hope it doesn't. Oh God.
I feel like a Pokemon trainer, and I earned like a badge.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
That actually, hell yeah, dude.
I met a gym leader, and he was like, "Oh, you actually took my classes. Here you go. Here's your badge."
Oh my God. Now I'm feeling like I insulted him by denying.
Do you want it? I'm gonna put it on my apron.
No, it doesn't matter. And now it's just about the fact that he. Oh God. You know what?
I can promise you he doesn't care.
Okay.
I can promise you he doesn't care.
I hope so, because I definitely don't want him to think that I was like it was literally like, I feel like I will earn a badge when I'm where you are, where it's like I have earned the, I don't know, like I don't know.
You know what's
I treat it like an achievement. Like I'll get.
Yeah, it's an achievement.
Yeah, it's like achievement unlocked. Like you went to the trainer, you did the Pokemon thing.
Yeah.
And you met the master, and he gave you a pin.
You know what's crazy to me is that I sat down, and this one guy next to me, he was eating the sandwich. Remember, he was like opened a meal.
Yeah.
He was like, "Are you Donte?" I forgot his name. I think it was like Ben. I'm not sure. It's weird because the ceramic art area is full of like the same archetype of guy that I am, but also in the same age range I am. So like we all have a bit of dad bod,
We're like, we were once super jacked, and then we had a kid and a wife, and we're like, well, we sit down and do pottery now while we take care of babies.
Yeah.
And so the two people sitting next to me were very much in this vein, and he was like, are you Donte? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, I go to your Glazy profile all the time. And, you know, another man sat next to me. I actually have his name. I'm not going to check my phone.
That's okay. If you send it to me later, I can, like, list a bunch of folks.
No, I'm just going to say it. You
don't look it up right now? Okay,
that way you don't have to do the work.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
You know what I mean?
So I have some artists that I'm going to talk about later.
Bill Collins.
Bill Collins, okay.
And his name is Bill Collins. He sat down next to me and was like, hey, are you Donte of Earth Nation? And I was like, yeah. He goes, my group and I, my students and I, we do like glaze safety testing, and you know, we were testing your Lumos glaze, and I was like, someone from a school that is a professor who has students is teaching people about and testing with my glazes.
Oh my god!
And he's like, yeah, and I got scared. I said, is there something wrong with it? He goes, no, it's fine. It's a food safe glaze. He goes, but we saw a combination of Randy's Red and Lumos that we really liked, but there's 5 different variations of Randy's Red, and we don't know when you're using. I can only figure out that you're not using Sue McLeod's Cedar Hill version, and that's about it. So texted the wife, said, can you go through the garage and find my recipe of Randy's Red? And
nice.
Gave it to him, and I was like, wow, people really be like following my research to the point where they're testing it themselves in their schools.
That's so freaking cool,
Which
dude.
is wild.
That's awesome.
Insanity to me.
Hell yeah, dude. I'm so stoked for you.
My dick was so big.
Oh my god.
My dick was so big. And I got to talk to him as if I knew what I was talking about.
Yeah.
And
Because you do.
He said the next glaze he's going to test is the Urabium glaze. I have a pink glaze, Majimu's pink. Mm-hmm. And he's like, yeah, we have to test the limits on that because nobody uses Urabium. I call it Urabium, it's Urabium, I'm sure. But it just makes pink.
Yeah.
And he's like, no one uses that, so now I have to order a specific test for this mineral to see the limits on it, to see if it's food safe, because we're testing that one as well. And I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
Hell yeah. I feel like I had a similar sort of moment when I went to the podcast after that, which was it was like at 4:30 or something, but it was sci-fi and world building in art.
Right.
And I was like, oh my god, this is like, I have to see this. So I'm gonna, like I said, I don't have my bullet journal with me. I wrote down the artist name, so I'll leave them in the show notes who they were. But it was awesome because like they got up there and like I heard them kind of chatting like before the podcast actually started about like Dragon Ball Z. Yeah. And I'm just like, I literally texted you. I was like, Donte, you gotta get here.
I couldn't do it.
They like DBZ.
I couldn't. Yeah, I was already in my Drake album.
Yeah, no, you were like done, which is I totally
so
respect.
Sorry.
Yeah, no, oh my gosh, no, I was more just like I think you would enjoy this, but it was really cool because like they were essentially, I think, well, they talked about a lot of different things within that whole topic, like kind of like I'd say especially bringing up how, you know, again, for like indigenous folks or like historically repressed peoples or underrepresented people, how there's just not any of that in institutions and sci-fi, and you know, anyway, just talking about narrative. And what I thought was really cool about it, and like part of why I was so excited about it, is because like I was like, oh my god, I feel like these people are talking about like where I sort of, well, like, it's like, I wish I had known that these kind of people were in like the art world, because between the 4 of them, like there was like, what is it? PJ Anderson, I think was her name or their name. I'm actually not sure what her pronouns are. But she was talking about, like, so she makes like suits of armor out of clay. Yeah, like 6 foot tall.
For like cosplay?
No, not for cosplay. As art, as like capital A art.
That's awesome.
It's yeah. So between her and like the other artists, you know, it was just this really interesting combination between the 4 of them of, you know, seeing how geek culture and like gaming and sci-fi and like all this stuff influences like their lives and their work, and also like capital A art, and how like narrative plays a role in creating that conceptual kind of work. And so it was really cool to see like, oh, this is like that niche of where I wanted to find myself when I was in college, of like, you know, like
you wish you had that.
I wish I had that.
Yeah.
And I'm so f***ing stoked that they were there, because it was like, this is like, I didn't know that this could be a thing. Like, because again, my biggest issue, especially in college, and I actually was kind of cool because I brought this up as a comment, was that, you know, and like y'all listening have heard me say this before, but again, it was that frustration of
being in college, wanting to make work that had the sort of visual language of sci-fi and fantasy, but being given the impression that it wasn't good enough to be considered art.
Like capital A art.
Capital A art.
Yeah,
exactly.
which, you know, we've talked about that being bullshit, but like,
Yeah.
it is weirdly enough the game that the art world plays, whether we agree with it or not.
Yeah,
And we're trying to move in that space, yeah.
It's definitely dynamic, and one of the artists actually said, like, yeah, those kind of questions are old questions. Like,
We're done with that now.
we're done with that now.
f-
And I was like, bro,
She
like,
said,
yeah, it was great. No, I loved it, and it was really cool because like the when I asked them like that question of essentially like how do we move forward knowing that there's this weird dynamic, not weird, but like there's this dynamic of like how do we move forward acknowledging that there can sometimes be a perceived gap and real gap between capital A art and like the like industry of film and video game. And you know, I brought up specifically like, yeah, like when I was like trying to research for grad school, I was like, there is no place for me. Like when I literally looked up a bunch of different programs and like maybe if I were to research that again, it would have changed, but I could not find one program where I was like, I feel like I would fit here.
No, there's
Yeah. And just to wrap up, how she responded was like, they will not accept you until you make them. And I was like, whoa. Like, I know it's like a simple phrase,
That's
but
deep.
It's deep, man. It's deep.
It's deep.
Yeah. So it felt really cool to have that, to see a panel treated legitimately discussing narrative and gaming. It's like I would have expected to see that panel at an anime convention or at like a Comic-Con or something like that. I was shocked to see that at NCECA, which makes me really happy to know or to think about what could come next.
Well, I'm happy that NCECA gave them the space to talk about it.
Yes,
because it's not like they had like some secret meeting and the art world doesn't approve. It's like the National Clay Education Conference Association gave these people
National Conference for
Educate.
NCEC, National Conference for the
Education.
Advancement of Ceramic Art. NC.
There's
oh
an
my
E
God,
in there.
There's an E in there.
Because advancement is A.
Yeah, you're right. Education.
National Conference Education
Oh my God, this is so dumb.
of Ceramic Art.
We've been here twice. This is nuts.
Okay, listen, the conference. Okay,
The conference. The conference.
The conference
Yeah.
gave people a space. It's
Oh.
just
Oh, sorry, I keep interrupting.
You're
but I
good.
keep forgetting.
You're fine.
The other thing with that too,
Yeah.
with them like making space for that, is that there were no white people on the panel. Like it was one person who appeared to be a woman. Like I gotta feel bad. I don't know her pronouns. And two other male artists and one artist who used both he and they pronouns, and they were all people of color. And I was like, especially for sci-fi and fantasy, which has such
It's usually just white people in space.
and especially white dudes.
Usually white people in
Like,
space,
yeah.
and then white people with like astrology, Wiccan stuff.
Yeah, and like especially with historical like sci-fi writing,
Yeah.
so many white dudes.
Yeah.
so many white dude authors. So
Usually we went to space and we found a thing we shouldn't have, and now we got to deal with it. Who's in it? White people.
Yep.
Usually dudes with buzz cuts.
Who's it written by? White people.
White people. Yeah.
And are there women in it? Yes, and they have ridiculously big boobs and spaceships, and there's
They're the nurse.
Yeah.
And the comms, the communication specialist.
Yeah.
Are they the captain? No, unless you count that one time in Star Trek, I guess. Janeway's a bad captain. I said it. I said it. I'm sorry. Boo at me all you want.
They were
I said
actually
it.
talking about Star Trek because Cynthia came up and like asked a question, was like, yeah, like Uhura was like, I remember when Uhura was like a thing.
Yeah.
So anyways, so they're talking about that's the kind of panel it was, guys. They were talking about Star Trek.
No, it was good.
It was great.
I mean, I wasn't there, but like I went in and I was like, that's different. And then I was like, where the Lindsey?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do also notice as a side point that we were talking about this either yesterday or earlier today, but we were talking about like gender norms and gender titles and whatnot.
Oh, yeah,
and
yeah,
how now we don't assume people's genders are male and female, but instead I'm noticing a lot of the person looked kind of androgynous, and so they didn't tell me their gender, but I assume they're they. So we're assuming we're weirdly enough at times we're assuming people's genders are not the cis versions. You know what I mean? It's
like
I assume
we're-
you're a they because you look like you're from fucking Stranger Things, and it's like, no, I'm not a they. Oh,
Oh,
I'm a girl.
I got you.
Well, you just look androgynous, you know? And so, like,
Yeah.
whenever I see someone, like, on the panel, I always think that, too. I wonder what their pronouns are. But I wouldn't think that if they didn't present as so
androgynous. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think that's like, again, this is a bit off topic, but I think that's one of the nice things about the whole just situation where we're recognizing that gender is not what
it's not real.
Yeah, it's like gender is a construct. And so it's like, I think that's part of the point of like, that's why people like say their preferred pronouns.
Yes.
Because then you don't have to assume, and I know that's not like totally common yet. Like, I think when I introduced myself on the podcast thing that we did, like I didn't use like, oh, my name's Lindsey M Dillon. I use she they pronouns. I probably should have, just to like normalize it.
I mean,
but that is the kind of
yeah. If I'm being real with you, I suppose I'm it's not them they. It's like I don't conform to gender.
Yeah, like
I'm gender non-conforming, but it's only because I understand like money, it's a social construct. Mm-hmm. Like if I had the choice to not use money and still live a life well lived, I wouldn't use it. It's just now the space is opened up to be able to just not use a gender. If you feel like it.
Yeah.
And it's like, like the universe doesn't care what gender you are. Society does though, and society's the one who made the construct.
Yeah.
So you're trying to fit yourself in society in the best way you can comfortably, and so you use what gender pronouns you want. And I'm just like, I just don't. You call me whatever you can call me a she. I still have work to do. I don't like that. Doesn't affect my workload. The fact that you misgendered me. So like I don't. It doesn't matter to me. So I'm not even androgynous. I'm just gender non-conforming, and that way I don't care what gender you use for me.
Hell yeah.
If that makes sense.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. I think I don't care so much that whenever I present myself, I'm not like, here are my pronouns. I'm just like, use whatever pronouns you want because it doesn't affect me when you use pronouns for me. Like, at all.
Yeah.
You can call me, like, if I was in the military and they're like, you little bitch, I'd be like, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Like,
I think what's nice about, like, how do I say? Like, are you saying that in terms of, like, so that you would prefer not to...
use gender at all.
Well, I was going to say, like, would you prefer to not... like introduce your name and then your preferred pronouns?
No, I'm saying the reason I don't use my name and then my preferred pronouns is because I do not care about a social construct because I have a problem with social constructs in the first place. I care so much not that I don't even care to address them. Like,
well, but I mean, that in and of itself is kind of, I would argue that that's not addressing it. That's doing what everybody's done up until this point, which has been assume what I am based on what I look like because of the strict gender construction rules.
Those are against the rules, Lindsay. You can't assume my gender anymore.
Exactly. But that's the thing is that like I think I would argue that like I mean again like I think
like
this
normal people are probably like he's a dude. And I'm going with the flow, and that's perpetuating the.
No, not even like that. It's more that how do I say? And again like. Listeners, we're basically done talking about Clay.
We're basically
so like if you want to skip ahead,
an offshoot.
This is just an offshoot convo. Point being, like I think what can be tricky about, and I again like I have not gotten into the habit of introducing myself with pronouns, but I think that that's what we should be doing because it normalizes like it normalizes people doing that.
I see. So
It's kind of like when people got used to saying, or how some people say, even if they're cis and are like with a partner and they're like heterosexual, they'll still refer to their like partner or to their like
to their pronouns.
No. They'll still. Let me finish. Don't finish my sentence.
I'm trying to guess.
No.
I'm trying to help you.
It's okay. It's okay. I got you. I'm just like I'm trying to find my words. So it's more like if I were to say like my boyfriend Cody. Like, instead of saying my boyfriend Cody, I say my partner Cody. And I do that because people used to only refer to their partner if they were, like, gay. So people would assume, and if I say, oh, yeah, my partner, people used to assume, like, oh, yeah, it's because I'm, like, gay and I'm trying to, like, hide the fact that I'm gay or whatever. As opposed to saying, like, oh, yeah, my girlfriend, whoever. But so I feel like it's kind of the same thing with pronouns, where it's, like, if you introduce yourself with, like, hey, my name's like this, and and my pronouns are whatever. Like that's normalizing using pronouns. And I think if you didn't care, or since you don't care what your pronouns are, you could just say like, yeah, I'm Donte of Earth Nation Ceramics. You can use whatever pronouns for me you like.
Okay, so I think if I were to encapsulate your point, you're saying that using or addressing my gender, even if I don't care, is helping towards the normalization of it.
Yes.
Okay. Instead of being like I just don't care, and then people are like.
Yeah, because to me, and this I think that this is not necessarily, I'm saying that this is the exact, like this is the correct parallel.
Yes.
But what it makes me think of is people saying like, oh, I don't care what race you are, like, it's because I'm colorblind. It's like, no.
Oh, yeah, that sets off
like,
alarms for me.
Yeah,
Definitely,
And to me, saying, like, oh, I don't care what gender I am, so I'm not going to, or it's like, I don't care how you address me, so I'm not going to say my preferred pronouns, feels a little bit like it's doing something similar.
Yeah.
Not exactly.
No, I get the, I get the parallel.
I don't know. I mean, again,
it's kin.
like,
It's they're alike, but not the same.
yeah.
I think.
So I don't know. Yeah.
I think if I were to do that, possibly even next NCECA, I would say I'm gender what's it called?
Not gender non-conforming.
I'm gender non-conforming. You can literally call me whatever pronouns you want, and I am comfortable with it. Whatever makes you comfortable.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But damn, do I wish I lived in a world where it didn't exist. Damn, do I. It's like money. I really wish I lived in a world where there was no exchange of little pieces of green paper with slave owners on them. In order to give you my worth in society. Like, I really wish we didn't.
I don't think there's anything necessarily inherently wrong with gender. I think it's the rules that are then placed on those genders.
Yeah.
And the restrictions of, like, oh, there's only 2 genders. Like,
Yes.
no, that's lies. Because, like, for me, like, again, like this, you know, we were talking about this last night, because part of the reason that I wore, like, more, this is for the listeners, part of the reason that I wore not the Handmaid's Tale outfit on when we went to the brewery is because I was like, I've been dressed in really explicitly feminine women's clothes for like days, and I'm like, I feel the dude vibes. I really want to like present more masculine right now, and I'm really excited because I've been like learning more like facial contouring makeup to make myself look more masculine.
You know what I noticed?
Thank you.
You looked
Dude,
good yesterday.
when I came down and asked you, like, hey, does my, like, makeup look like too much? Because, you know, again, I'm still learning.
Yeah.
And you were like, no, you kind of look like that dude from Supernatural. You don't even know how happy that made me.
I'm not
because,
good at
like,
makeup, so, like, when I saw you, I was like, you look like the Winchester boy.
Yeah, and that's, like Dean Winchester is my, like, gender hero. Like, if I could look like that, he's, like, what I aim for. And I know that's absurd because he's, like, you know, such a hot, like, very, like, clearly, like, biologically male dude. Actually, I shouldn't even assume that. Point being, like, when you told me that, I was like, that makes me feel so good. And so I think a world, like, again, like, there's nothing inherently wrong with gender, I would say, because I felt really good expressing that more masculine, like, gender.
You were vibing.
Yeah.
You were vibing that day.
Dude, and I was like, I was chatting with some other folks, and they they referred, because like one person was like talking to another person, and they referred to me as like they, and I didn't even like say my pronouns.
Yeah.
But they referred to me as they, and I was like, oh my god,
That's
like,
what I was talking about earlier.
It's working.
That's what I was talking about earlier.
Yeah,
People
yeah.
see a pseudo androgynous person,
Yeah.
and they just assume the
Yeah.
androsity.
Yeah.
They're just like, you must have a different gender than the cis ones because I can
Yeah.
see you, so I'm going to assume. And I'm like, oh, so we've come far enough to. I don't have a problem with it. I just noticed the dynamic change.
Yes.
I just noticed, like, oh, people are normalizing it to the point where they are now, instead of assuming 2 genders, they're assuming one of the other genders because of the way you look.
Yeah, but that's not necessarily like. But like, I feel. What am I trying to
Lived
say?
it, Lindsey.
No. But I think what's interesting about that is like, I could see there being an argument where then it's about like, oh, assuming they them as a pronoun instead of he or she is just as bad as assuming he or she. But I think there's some nuance there, and I'm not really I'm not fully sure. Yeah.
Well,
or like, is that kind of what you're saying?
No,
like,
no, it's not what I'm. I think it's what I'm saying, but it's not the energy I'm trying to put out.
Oh, okay. Tell me.
I enjoy the inclusivity.
Yeah.
But I think if a person was agreeing with me a little too hard, they would say something like, "Well, it's still assuming a gender." You know what I mean? Like, you're still assuming a gender based on how someone looks.
Oh, okay.
And that is a key problem. We don't do that anymore, you know?
Okay,
If you were far left enough, you would be like, you're not supposed to assume genders based on how you look. That's not okay.
Yeah. But yeah, okay. I thought that's what I thought you were saying.
No, I'm just noting. I'm just noticing the change in society to the point where it's normalizing to the point where people are, in fact, assuming not the 2 genders.
Yes. Yeah. Although there is still sort of room to be like, yeah, we still shouldn't be assuming.
I mean,
it's
there's a little bit, but this is the baby steps we're taking.
Yeah, and I completely agree. Like the fact that
Can't
we
go straight
we
to the
could go
top.
to a. I mean, we could, but
We could. No, we can't.
And that's the thing. Like, if that could have been a situation where those people conceivably could have asked, like, could have started to speak to me and be like, oh, like, what are your preferred pronouns? Because I've had that happen. Like, I went to this was a couple years ago. I was with some just anyway, other art friends who I hadn't seen in a long time. And one of them was speaking about me to another person, started to say she, and then said, oh, actually, I'm not sure what your pronouns are.
Yes.
And I was like, oh, she or they. And he was like, okay. So, like, that's a situation where, like, I think we're both agreeing that things are getting better.
We're saying it different, that's all.
Yeah. Things are getting better. There's still a thing about assuming a gender, but there's also still a thing about, like, it's okay to ask. And also, I got to effectively execute the dude vibes that I was wanting to, and it felt so good.
Donte approved.
Dude.
Dude vibes.
Yeah, it felt so good, dude. So it made me really happy.
I'm glad you enjoyed. Was that? Did we just recap yesterday or today? No, we recapped today because today.
We
did yesterday and today technically, but you're essentially getting a double dip a little bit.
But yeah, that's a recap of day
3 technically.
Day 3.
Technically, yes.
Recap of Friday, because today's Friday.
We'll see you peeps tomorrow for another recap.
Hell yeah, bye.
Okay, it is now day, I want to say 4?
I think so.
Because day 0 was the flight. I don't even think we did a debrief on day 0.
No, we did a debrief. Okay, so Tuesday, we did this at the beginning of the last.
We did the last video, yeah.
Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Today's
day
Friday,
4.
So we are on day 4.
Yeah.
And today we started our morning with the meetup at Black Coffee in Ohio. That place was great because we went there the day before that as well to like have a little stop. We tried to go get boba and then
it was Leah Harvell has been a patron of mine for a long time.
Same.
Like
contacted us on Instagram.
Yeah. But basically, yeah. So Leah wanted to get us some boba, and we were gonna go get boba, but it was too far away and it was too cold.
It was hella cold.
Yeah. So we stopped by this coffee shop, and it was like, oh man, this place is awesome. And
it smelled really good in there. It smelled excellent in there.
Yeah.
And it was very simple because it was like we served coffee and muffins in different forms.
Yeah.
Sick.
Yeah. And we had been talking about figuring out where to have our little get together for basically folks who wanted to see us, wanted to say hi, but like we hadn't either been able to make time for or hadn't run into yet to basically be like, hey, you want to come say hi and hang out with us for a bit? Like, we're going to be here. Come say hi.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was really fun. Like, I know I ended up spending, I need to look up her name again. Ruby. And so basically, I guess I'll just use their Instagram names. So Dryad Tea. Hold on, I'm just gonna make sure I got this right.
And they own a tea shop.
Yes. So Dryad Tea and Pottery. So she came, we chatted for a while. Elizabeth Young from Ceramicon chatted for a while. Elizabeth Young. Leah Harvell came, and anyway, and then who all did you chat with?
Sharon. I'm pretty sure her name is Barker. She is one of my patrons, but please forgive me if I butchered your last name.
Yeah.
If it's like Barker or like Baker or something, I don't know about it. But sorry.
What's
up?
No, go ahead.
She came by, and she pretty much was like, I came to Ceramicon just to ask you a myriad of questions. And I was like, oh, okay, go for it. And we had like an hour and a half to almost 2 hours of me just telling her everything I know because she owns a studio that she's trying to run and she's running into some technical problems and a lot of them have to do with glaze. And I was like, okay, well first you got to get down your minerals and make sure you sieve and make sure you it's a suspension, it's not a solution, so it's suspended in water and you have to make sure you got the right amount of milliliters and the right gravity. We talked about gravity. And then she got into the deeper questions of like, how do you know the purity of your materials? And I said they change pits all the time. We got into all of that. And the end of my message to her was basically like, you're going to have to build a connection with your mineral company so that you can keep on toe what minerals change, when, and how. And then they will usually supply you with a list of the chemical makeup of like their minerals and what they're made out of on like an element level and whatnot. And that's how you can tell. And I gave her the example of like, we used to have Kona, and then we had G200, and then we had a bunch of different G200s, and now we have Custer Feldspar. And like, I showed her a picture of G200 and Custer, and one's way darker and like dirtier, for lack of a better term. And she goes, okay, so it's important. I was like, it's massively important. Your glazes would look so much different with G200.
Okay,
So we had that talk, and it was
that's awesome.
It was a good. I don't want to call it professor or profession, but it was a good session of me professing to her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, there were some other folks who showed up as well. Forgive me if you were listening to this and I have forgotten your name, but it was kind of cool. Like we put a bunch of tables together, and
it was nice.
there was like I think 5 or 6 other people who ended up hanging out with us, and we had a good time.
It's still a bit weird, and I don't want to say jarring. What's the word? Surreal.
Surreal, yeah.
It's still a bit surreal because people here will stare at me from like the corner of a room, and if you don't pass me and you don't approach me, I don't know what else to do. So like it doesn't give me anxiety, but it makes me start to make calculations in my head of like what do they need? Because like, you know, if you're looking at someone you clearly need or want something, or you clearly like think something about them. Like when we had a breakfast on the first day.
Oh yeah.
And that group of people came in and they were just staring at me for a while until I heard.
Oh yeah.
And then I heard like it's him, and I was like, okay, so that's what.
Yeah.
And for a second, when I went into Black Coffee, there was a group of 2 or 3 people who were doing that, and I was like, do they recognize me, or do they just like don't like my Carhartt jacket? Because usually conservative males wear Carhartt, and they think they're trying to like, I don't know, are they politicizing me, or like what's you know what I mean? What's going on? And then they were like, you're Donte, and I was like, okay, good, all right, that's what it is.
Yeah.
You know, and it is still a bit surreal that people here specifically will basically stare at me and be like, you're the guy. And I'm like, just say hi. At this point, just say hi. Because if you stare at me from a corner, it makes me nervous.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's very fair.
Because then I'm like, just get the transition over with. Because otherwise, like, I don't know. But there's a 10% of my brain is like, are you a danger to me? Mm-hmm. Or do you just, I don't know.
Yeah.
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 I think Sunrise Pottery was the person who contacted me. That was the person with the group.
Oh, yeah.
She came over and was like, I just wanted to say hi real quick. I'm on my way out, and I just wanted to, you know. And it was good. It was a good
yeah,
meetup. Yeah.
I'm glad we did that this time. Like, I almost think that if we do it again next year, we should do it on Friday, because it seems like a lot of folks on Saturday were already starting to head home.
I agree.
Yeah, so we should do it on Friday next time. But I'm trying to think. So we sort of went separate ways eventually. So like, so from my perspective, so my like view of how today was basically I am along for the ride. Like other than
I agree. Yes.
Yeah, because after we got together for our little breakfast meeting and stuff.
Little brekkie.
We ended up going to
Queen City?
No, we went to the Cincinnati Museum of Art.
We did.
For the oh my gosh, hold on, let me look this up.
Pottery saved my life?
No, the Roberto Lugo.
Right. And he was there displaying his skills.
Yeah, it was actually pretty cool. Like I felt kind of bad because I didn't really know who he was. But then, you know, going through the exhibition, reading about him and his work, and then like seeing him there, it was like, oh shit. He's like,
oh yeah, that's the
he's
part.
Like, he's like right there.
That's the point of the exhibition. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's yeah.
Well, yeah, but like I've literally never been to like a museum and then had the ceramic artist like there.
Yeah, that's relatively rare for me as well. Like if they were like, hey Lindsey, come do your art in this museum, so you can be the actual art piece. I'd be like, oh, that's not unusual. It's kind of awesome actually, but it's just like I don't see many studios and or museums doing that, especially museums, because that was like a proper big museum that just had like a dude doing pottery in the middle of it.
Yeah, that was really cool. It was kind of neat too to see the color palette of his work and then see the color palette and the design of his actual workspace.
Yes.
Because like that had to have been intentional, because there was some bright blue, there was some like really like intense kind of almost like maroon, you know, walls. There was black and white checkered. The workstations had bright blue legs. Like
massively
things were very intentional.
Yeah, you saw it and you were like, they did that on purpose.
Yeah. There was all of this at least as far as I could tell, all of this seemed to be intentional.
Or it was like the most beautiful accident.
Yeah.
That I've ever seen in my life. You know what I mean? Like it was one of the two.
Yeah.
And after that, it was very. You know what?
Yeah. What all did you do? Because we kind of went separate ways. So
we went to. Well, you went to Queen City Clay with me.
Yes. That's true. We went back to Queen City Clay.
We went back to, which by the way is phenomenal. We went back to Queen City Clay, and I bought myself a brush as a trophy for saying I went to NCECA. And I don't know if I want to make it a tradition, because sooner or later I'm going to be one of those guys who has like brush holders that brushes he just never uses. I don't want a collection of shit I don't use. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But after that, some friends invited you basically to dinner.
Well, yeah, and I'll tell that story. You tell.
Oh, I'm sorry. Well, I have nothing after that.
Tell me what you did.
I went to Queen City Clay, and then like after that, I looked at Nika, who is essentially our handler. for this entire
Nico's
thing.
awesome. Nico is like part handler, part like I consider her like our low key like
Chauffeur.
not con mom, but like con cousin.
Yeah.
Because she's like looking out for us.
Yeah, but
So what else? So when you just
we just went home. Like that was it.
and then what'd you do?
I went to Nico and then I was like, "Where are we going after this?" And she's like, "We're going back to the house." And I was like, "Cool." And then I've just been editing my eyes out ever since because I'm trying to do a vlog. I'm trying to do each and every day. I want to do like, okay, day 0 the flight. Day 1.
Right.
Day 1 is like around NCECA. Day 2 was our panel, and day 3 is technically yesterday. So, and then day 4 is also recorded. So,
Yeah.
And then day 5 will most likely just be the flight home, and it'll end with me flopping on the bed. But I'm trying to give people like a day by day connection to the content, so they can say, "Hey, Donte did this yesterday."
Yeah.
And I'm up to date on how the con is. Plus, if you didn't get a ticket to NCECA or you weren't here, I think it's neat for people to live vicariously through the actual footage. So that people can feel as though they're either there or make a decision of whether they want to come the next time.
And each of those videos is about what, like 15 minutes or so?
Maximum.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make them 10 minutes because I want to say a good 4 minutes of each video are usually pan shots of the travels.
Yeah.
And they're interrupted with me saying, "Okay, now we're going to do this. And this is what we're doing." After day 2, I started making an itinerary list. So I would put at the beginning of the screen, I would say, "Here's the plan for the day at this time."
Yeah.
So that way people know what we're getting as far as watching the video goes.
How long does it take you to edit each video?
If I'm really concentrating and like I don't have to get up for food or anything like that and I'm left alone, maybe about 4 hours.
Dang, for one video?
Yeah, because like what I do.
No, I mean like it makes sense, but I'm just like, damn.
Yeah, well, what I do is I make the stock footage and I combine it with the audio. I sync it up, and then I make sure the contrast and the lighting is good for all of them because lighting's not perfect and contrast is almost never perfect.
Yeah.
So I modify those to make it look a little more crisp. After that, I go back over the video, which by the way, laying the foundation takes the longest. Takes at least 2 hours. I choose music that I think is right for the vibe of the video.
Yeah.
A lot of this is lo-fi, like tea shop music.
Yeah.
I choose the music, and then after I choose the music, I add the beginning screen, which is partially a green screen, and then I add the end screen. I look for my patrons' names if they're new, and then I add the patrons to the end, and then after I do all that, I then add memes. And then after I add memes, I double check it, so I watch the video over again myself. And that entire process, uninterrupted, without me, like, playing games in the background, takes about 4 hours straight.
Okay.
And these are pretty low effort videos. They're not like, I'm not teaching you anything.
Holy
it's just
4 hours for a low effort video?
Yeah, 4 hours is like I have footage for stuff you would like to see about my life and my experiences of the ceramic art world. And I just added music and some funnies, and there you go.
Your funnies are funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
Some people in the house found my Instagram, my TikTok. I gave it to them essentially, and they're busting up. And I'm like, okay, so they're funny.
Yeah, no, you're funny. You're funny, dude.
It's a good barometer.
Yeah.
Because to me, I'm just like, that's not funny. That's just true. But people are like, it's funny and true.
Yeah.
And then after that, we went our separate ways after Queen City.
Yeah. So I had been
You left me.
I did. I apologize.
You abandoned me.
Oh, I think you'll survive.
I'll survive.
So part of the reason I went off on my own was also like, I wasn't in my Handmaid's Tale outfit, so I knew you wouldn't be as worried.
Yes, that is true. I was not as worried.
Yeah. So I had been wanting to meet up with some folks who I met for the first time last year, including Nivia, who gave a presentation on Thursday, if I remember correctly.
Because ours was on Friday, right?
No, ours was on Thursday.
So it was the day.
Oh, so hers was on Wednesday.
It was the same day.
Oh, same day?
Yeah, because we went to hers
right.
at 1, and then ours was at 2:30.
That's right.
And I remember thinking, like, we have to leave this at, like, 1:40 or 1:50.
Yeah, that's
ours,
right.
We got to be there by 2.
Yeah, that's right. So yeah, so it was her, and I guess I feel a little weird saying the names of like the other folks, I guess, but I don't know why. It's probably fine. But point being, I met up with some awesome folks, and we basically went back to their hotel, hung out for a little bit. It was kind of fun. We had some like really interesting conversations about like racial stuff, to be honest. Like we talked a lot about like NCECA, about like how, it was really interesting that for both our podcast panel and for the other panel, like it was a full room, but for the panel that was all about and for podcasts hosted by people of color,
yes,
there was like hardly anybody there.
I mean, technically speaking, the field is dominated.
Yeah,
clearly.
and that's kind of what we were talking about, is how like potentially we could find
or potentially basically how NCECA could find ways to bring more attention to these either emerging or just less well-known podcasts hosted by like folks of color if they're going to continue doing the NCECA podcasting room.
Yes.
So we talked like a lot about that. And just kind of caught up, and it was really nice to we went out to dinner, and then they were kind enough to give me a ride back to the house.
That's very nice of them.
Yeah, super, super nice.
Yeah.
But it was kind of cool because like, I don't know, there can be, sometimes I feel like when I'm meeting people at the convention hall or just kind of out and about and it's very quick interactions, I feel like it can be hard to, or it's like sometimes I can, like, because I am actually very energetic and excited to like, oh my gosh, like somebody recognizes me or whatever.
Yes.
It's, it's exciting. It's fun. So I'm very like high energy and very like, very high energy.
Yes.
And sometimes I feel a little bad about that because I'm like, oh, like I want people to get to like know me and not just like get to know my my persona, I guess.
Yeah.
Because like I try and be as genuine as I can be online. And sometimes I'll play up like certain parts of my personality more, but I try and rein that in when I notice myself doing that more.
Yeah.
So it was cool to like have these people that I had met last year. We had exchanged photos. We had done like a bit of a like group chat thing for a while. And then getting to like reconnect on a much more slow paced level was really cool. And it again kind of like intensified that point of like, yeah, like the friendships and these connections that we're building at NCECA are really special. And it's really cool to coming back for the second year to get to reinforce those connections as much as I'm also making new ones with like being here at the house and meeting all these so many other ceramic artists. So
yeah, being here at the house, and I'll reiterate what we said yesterday, is a phenomenal experience. It's probably the best, and I do understand that it's highly catered, but like it is one of the best experiences I've had.
What do you mean highly catered?
Catered as in like we essentially have our own floor with like our own kitchen, and our own TV, and our own living room with a pool table, and like nobody else comes up here. They all stay down there and drink, and even then we have like our own rooms.
Drinking that much, to be honest.
They're not drinking that
just
much.
Hanging out. Yeah.
They're not drinking that much, but when I go down there, I'm like, ooh, I got some red faces. And my brain is just like, I'm good because red faces usually want to social interact, and.
Yeah, I just don't want to give people the impression that we're like at some crazy party house,
No, we're really not. They're actually fairly tempered, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's just I'm just not much of a drinker because like it's like the math is off, right? When you get to know someone, there's a certain amount of social cues and pressures and body language that they've set based on how they want to be perceived or interact with society.
Yeah.
And like when people drink, those go out the window. So I go downstairs and I'm like, well, now all the math is off. Like now I have to recalibrate all that, man. And then I'd much rather not do the math, especially after a day of tiredness. But I feel kind of bad that I didn't get a lot of footage of more museums because my understanding was that we were going to like 3 or 4 museums and we were going to do, for lack of a better term, a museum crawl.
Yeah.
But it didn't end up like that. So the YouTube channel is essentially just going to get like the meetup, one museum, and then I'm be like, all right, and then I went home. Like, gang,
Yeah, I mean, this should be fine though. Like, I mean, there again, folks are, I as we wrap up, not like or as we wrap up like the whole experience, right, of NCECA, obviously we're gonna have one more day tomorrow, which we should probably do like at our layover maybe, or like as we're walking off the plane, or so I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We'll figure out what time to do it because then your mom will pick us up. We do have a 2-hour layover, so a 1-hour layover, so it shouldn't be too hard.
Yeah.
I thought that I would do it. I'm dumb, right? Because like planes aren't as loud as they used to. Planes are getting quieter, and my perception of planes from the ground level to the sky was like, oh, I don't hear it because it's far away. So planes aren't that loud when you're on the plane, but when you're on the plane, you clearly hear the giant machine jet hum.
Oh yeah, it's loud.
So for some reason, I was like, yeah, Lindsay, we'll just do the podcast on the plane.
When you said that, I'm like, oh, honey.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then I was like, I clearly don't fly that much, And
well,
then
also I think it would have been weird to like we would have had to be really close and talk like this because we wouldn't want to bother the other people on the plane because nobody talks on planes.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
It's true.
Anyway, yeah, so it would have been, but I mean, I don't know. I'm proud that we've been able to be consistent about doing these recordings and then it's just going to be me.
We have so much content.
So much.
We have so much content.
I'm almost like, part of me wants to break it up into 2 episodes because, I'm basically, so it's going to be kind of crazy is between, so there's NCECA, right?
Yes.
And then At the beginning of April, I'm going to Sakura-con for about a week.
Okay.
And then basically the day after I get back from Sakura-con, I'm going to Morocco for like 3 weeks.
Damn.
Yeah. So I'm just like, shit. Like sometime in the next couple days, we're going to have to find a couple episodes.
Yeah.
Worth of stuff for for while I'm gone. But yeah, it's surprisingly very busy. I gotta do more updates and stuff, man.
I mean, you could easily make this into 3 parts because if you think about it, yesterday's debrief for day 3 was like 42 minutes by itself.
We talked a lot,
and that's how long our podcast is. It's usually like 42 minutes. So yeah, it's like you could probably easily make more content out of. You could be in Morocco, and they could be listening to like NCECA day 3.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see what I end up doing. We'll see how much like audio we actually have. Also, low-key, when we get back, I sincerely hope you stop sniffing so much.
Sorry.
It's okay. I just know I'm going to hear it on the audio later, and it's going to be like clear audio, and all of a sudden...
Dude, it's like really cold and bad here, and I've been like... This morning I took a shower, and I just blew my nose so much. And in the middle of the night, too, I'm like constantly trying to dig junk out of my nose, because I'm like, well, I gotta breathe when I sleep.
Yeah, oh my god, dude, you snore so much.
I'm sorry.
You gotta lay on your side because it's when you lay on your back. At least as far as I can tell.
Yeah.
Also, low key, I think it's pretty cool that we've basically been around each other constantly for the last 5 days.
Yeah. You don't bug me.
Yeah, you don't bug me either.
I got like 2 or 3 people that don't bug me to be around for a multiple. When we talked about the list of like 12 people, those people don't really bug me to be around consistently.
Yeah.
But like my friend Howie, love Howie. I've been around him for like months at a time, and I've never gotten tired of him.
Yeah.
It's because I'm just like I don't know. I'm not competitive and I'm not really argumentative. I'm just like, I have a stance, and if you can give me a reason to not believe in that stance, I will just change my opinion based on information. But I'm not like, no! Well, and when I am like, no, it's usually on something dumb, like tapioca pudding. It's just bad. It's just bad. It's on stuff that doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of life.
Yeah.
Because chocolate's objectively better than the other puddings.
Okay, how do you feel about rice pudding?
I actually love rice pudding, but it's only because it's basically cinnamon and sugar.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So I'm glad we can still be friends.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I am going to go upstairs and organize the metric ton show.
Yes.
That is my packing area.
Because we're getting on a flight tomorrow evening. So
we have to be out of here by 10 a.m., which is sad.
Yeah, I think we'll probably pack the stuff. I'll clean the kitchen downstairs. The food we will probably give to someone else because I don't need 3. I bought like sausages and eggs because I just wanted protein while I was here. But I clearly don't need to carry on the plane sausages and eggs. Nobody needs that.
Yeah.
So imagine sneak eggs in the plane. They wouldn't let that.
No.
Metal detector doesn't go off and you're like, you got an egg in your bag? Yeah. I get hungry on the plane.
That's disgusting.
It's not even boiled.
That's gross. Oh God. Oh. And that's it for today. Thank you for listening to The Mud Peddlers with Lindsey M Dillon
and Donte of Earth Nation.
Want to say hi and see what Donte and I are working on in our studios? Check out the show notes for links to our websites and social media below. You can find me at lindseymdillon.com. That's LINDSEY, M as in monster, DILLON.com. And on Etsy, Instagram, and Facebook at Lindsey M Dillon.
And you can find me at Earth Nation Ceramics. It's spelled exactly how you think it's spelled, but you can also find me on my Facebook fan page and Instagram at the same name at Earth Nation Ceramics.
If you enjoyed hanging out with us today, or you have a question or topic you'd like us to discuss, take a second to rate and review the Mud Peddlers in Apple Podcasts. It helps our podcast reach new listeners, and we really appreciate the feedback. Thanks again, and we'll catch you next time.